Hello, everybody. We are
Hi.
we're gonna get started soon. We're just waiting for Mike to show.
Yeah.
It's all good. Is this a good volume
So
for me? I
good.
guess I could turn myself up a touch. Is
How's
this a
the
good volume
sound?
for me? That's a good volume. What? They are so loud.
Silence, children.
S- Be silent, child. All right, we got the rundown here.
Oh, somebody
Close
called
that.
you dad on the chat. Do you have a child going around? What's going on?
I mean, who could say, really? I mean, it'd be
You're
impossible
only
to know
allowed to
for
be
sure.
called chef and daddy.
That's right. Mike is probably playing Final Fantasy XIV. Probably.
Yeah, it's just like in the middle of like sweating, like in the middle of a raid.
Yeah.
It's like I'm gonna do all this magic.
Do-do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. This maybe she sent an email. Someone told me I need to do a call to action for a GamesBeat event coming up.
Call to action. Okay. Hey, yo, the gunk is good, people.
Gunk's pretty good.
I started it in one sitting. Just finish it. I gunk it all up. Full of gunk. Suck all that gunk.
Suck that gunk.
Yeah.
Gunk is kind of mid, but of course Jeff Grubb trying to get free stuff from his favorite video game company. He's like, oh no, it's actually good.
It's actually good.
Yeah. Everyone else seems to think it's, I don't know, man.
I think this is a character that I hate. That's the only downside of that.
That happens.
I've only played it for an hour, so I actually don't have a fully formed opinion on it yet.
I only know Christian from Giant Bomb. Wait, I'm not in Giant Bomb.
Go
from the community.
Boys. I think I know when logic and proportion.
Is this another Halo song?
I think this is. Did you see The Matrix? You think?
No, I'm just thinking. I just like that trailer. I like that song. You know what that song reminds me of is Battlefield Vietnam, which kind of slapped.
Yeah.
And the soundtrack was amazing in that game, and that's first because like I never listened to real music really very much unless like my parents played it for me. Like I was only listening to soundtracks. The first time I heard a lot of like those songs was in freaking Battlefield Vietnam. I was like,
right, of course.
Whoa, war, where's it good for? Absolutely nothing. Say it again.
Sing it again.
Yeah, because I'm a bad person with awful taste.
What? Haven't seen anyone say they didn't like the gunk. Yeah, I mean, yes, it's not that. It's not.
I mean, I've seen a lot. To be clear, like it's got like a 70 on Metacritic. There's a lot of people who are like, I'm just not feeling it. I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy.
I
have no actual opinion on it. But
my early opinion is that it's fun to suck the gunk, but it might get old, and the signposting on the game seems like a little bit off to the point where you could get frustratingly lost occasionally, even though it's like a small world, and that doesn't feel good.
Oh, do we not have Tencent?
I only got lost once.
Yeah, well, we don't have that. What it be?
I'll edit.
Thank you. Yeah, that happened this morning, and I didn't.
Yes, that's me. I'm just like the way you type it in chat. It looks like I was like on Giant Bomb, but yes, I am the same Christian.
Water. I'm
the only Argentinian in the whole community. That's not true, but I like to say that so the other Argentinians get pissed off at me.
It's a good podcast game. I used to listen to podcasts when I played World of Warcraft. When I play Final Fantasy XIV, which I turned out I like more, I don't listen to as many podcasts there yet. I just kind of sit there and listen to the game's music. And yeah, that kind of sounded pretentious as it came out. Like,
yeah, you sound like a real piece of shit.
Well, you're not wrong.
Straight up garbage.
Oh no, Tim, I don't think anyone. No one's trashing the gunk. I was just teasing Jeff, but there are people who are like, it's fine.
It's fine.
Look, I have no opinion about it. I haven't played it. I probably will never play it, but I just like teasing Jeff.
Piece of shit. Like I said,
it's gotta be better than SteamWorld.
I thought it was going to be like.
Cut you.
You know what? I thought it was going to be like an open world, but it's not that.
No, it's not that at all. Yeah.
It's not that at all.
All right, let me bring this up. I can hit this button.
My
It's just a platformer with gunk.
my free company Final Fantasy 14. We're doing a Secret Santa tomorrow. So I have to get my Secret Santa a gift and give it to them in our fake video game house. 5 p.m. piece of 8. Okay, maybe hopefully tomorrow at 8 p.m.
Do you decorated your house for the?
I don't have a house yet, so I've been.
But like
I don't know if it's linear. It's I guess it's linear, yeah. But it's just
Oh, sorry, Jeff will turn my camera on.
You are like unlocking paths and then like unlocking shortcuts, but it's not a Metroidvania either.
No, it's not. I thought it was going to be that at the beginning, but I was super wrong.
Yeah, me too.
And you have like some choices like to make, like you can. It's like there are bifurcations where you can like take one way or the other way, but it doesn't matter which way you go. Like you had to do them both to like unlock a door or something like that. Like they give you the option to do whichever side first, but it's not like.
Hey Jeff, you want to suck up my gunk?
Oh god.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Gonna need that
we were talking about
person.
gunks. Yeah, yesterday on the Chan Bob voice chat Discord.
Let's see here.
And
just Mike's stupid camera.
Gunk from your dog, from the eye of your dog is the first thing that everybody came out with. Like, oh yeah, dogs have gunk in their eyes.
Yeah, those crusties.
Yeah,
I like taking those out. It's kind of satisfying.
Yeah, cats get that too. My breed of cat, the Norwegian forest cat, they get it. And if you don't get it, if you don't treat it like get it every day, it's like can really hurt them. So every morning I'm like, let me get those eyes.
Thank you, man. This is a good shirt. Best in the world.
What about my Old Navy sweatshirt that I've had for like 15 years?
You know what? I like Old Navy clothes. I'll tell you what. Old Navy's nice.
Yeah, they never do you wrong. It's like it's gonna get the job done.
They're comfortable. They're like kind of, it's like sometimes I'm like, I'm an adult. I don't need to have a logo on every shirt I own.
Yeah, I'm not a billboard. I'm a man.
Yeah,
right. I've totally given up on that though in the last couple of years. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm a billboard. I really am. I want people to know the things I like. I've given up.
Yes.
Just here, I'm like getting older and I want to be nostalgic. Oh, you want to talk about Mario with me? Okay, I love that. Please.
I used to be a really big Harry Potter fan. And I have a bunch of Harry Potter t-shirts that I can't wear anymore. But it's just because of me, not like... Just I'm like, oh, damn. I like this shirt, but it's like...
And no one... You go outside, no one really cares, but it bothers me. I know what you mean.
Yes, exactly.
Mike, talk.
Mike is talking. This is how I am.
And then
talking.
Jeff talks. And then when Jeff talks, he's a little bit louder. So we're going to turn up Mike a little bit.
Turn me up, baby.
Yeah, that looks good. That looks good. Okay. I have the rundown. I have audio, and you could check by hitting.
You had the music?
Hey, Jeff, don't forget we need to do that call to action for the.
I put it at the bottom of the credits just now. I'm not sure how effective it's going to be because it's like a Bitly link. I guess we can ask people to go to our website. Hey,
use the Bitly link in your browser, and then what's it actually?
Yeah, let's see what it does. Yeah, that's a good point.
So what happens if we use
it's gonna sell you an NFT
/Facebook? I mean, it still won't be great, but it doesn't really work, does it?
You know what? We got 130. You know, let's tweet. Let's tweet real quick.
Just tweet.
Yeah. So this will
be...
Here, Jeff. I'm putting in the better link. Now, there you go.
Okay. I have to ask: is this the last of this year's podcast?
No.
No. We'll
Okay.
We've been consistent since.
It is weird because it's Christmas Eve and then
yes,
New Year's
Eve.
Early. I mean, yes. I don't know about Jeff. I could still do a podcast like this time on Christmas.
I don't have a family.
Same here.
Well, I do, but my family stuff's on Christmas, and then New Year's Eve. I'm not doing anything until that night. Well, we're going to a cabin. What time is that happening? I'll have to figure it out. But
we'll figure out the schedule. We can work around it. We'll figure something out though. We'll do something. Even if it's even if on New Year's Eve, if Mike's super busy, if I end up doing something, probably not. We'll do a pre-recorded show or something. We'll have something.
Cool.
Yeah, introducing the
which is why we probably still shouldn't do this anticipated game thing, Jeff.
It's just on there for when we need it at this point.
I still want to say the fact that you thought we were doing that last week, that really...
I mean, I told you, I knew in my heart when I was doing it, there was no chance it was happening. I knew. All right?
You want me to yell at you. You like it. You set me up for it.
I'm just like, here's the thing. If I get it in my head that I'm like going to do something, if I don't do it right then, it'll never happen. And I'm like, it'll be nice to have this if we get to a point where there's nothing happening. We need an episode. It'll be good to go over this stuff. So... yeah, well, we were not going to do it today. That's not going to happen today either. So soon. Knuble did actually update it in the Discord anyhow, so I'd have to like take another look at it.
Right. But
right. I'm tweeting and then we'll get started.
I hope people don't take this NFT title.
No one's gonna take it seriously.
Okay.
I mean, whatever. They can come and yell at us and be like, come on, it's a joke.
It's a joke. No Do I hear Toad noises or I'm going crazy?
It's clear.
Yeah.
Toad noises.
I forgot.
Yeah,
that's basically Emmy. That's just Emmy's regular voice, honestly.
She does sound a little bit like Toad. Now that you say it. Oh, that's funny.
Okay. I tweeted.
I was about to say.
Thanks, Christian. Okay, so real quick before I do it in the show, I'll do it in the show. But hey, you like watching us? Well, we have GamesBeat events, and here, I'm gonna get the. I actually will just use the Bitly link in chat here. So the event team. Never mind, Mike put the good link in here.
I said I was doing that too.
Yeah, I remember you saying that now. I'm like, oh yeah, I was just going to copy it from my browser and then put it in. I'm like, that's way too much, but then you put in a nice one. Our company does gaming events, and they're not like PAX. They are much more like business oriented, but I think there's a chance that if you're listening to this, you might be interested in that. More so, more than that, the people that put these events together are actually pretty interested in reaching the audience that we reach with these podcasts. And so if you begin signing up by going to this link, I'm going to put it in chat. You can register for free and kind of get information on what's going to happen there. And yeah, partake, come see what's going on. We do these things live, virtually right now. We will begin doing them in person again, but I don't think we're ever going to get rid of the virtual component again. It's been very efficient for us. People really like it. So if you want to participate, if you want to be part of the wider GamesBeat community, if you sort of want to like get connected with people who are decision makers in the industry, go ahead, click that link, sign up. We really appreciate it. Where are the NFTs already in chat? All right. Yeah. So click that link. I'll do another call to action, but it'll be a little bit shorter in the show itself.
You'll make our overlords happy.
It'll make our overlords happy. And, you know, these like we have a new person in charge of our events that are like that's like handling us, and we want to help them out. We want to make their job easier. So if you have any interest whatsoever, click that link. Again, it's right there in chat. Yeah. Okay.
We get to play Cuphead with Dean. We should do a charity thing sometime. Winner gets to play co-op Cuphead with Dean.
That's really a really good idea. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Did you hear the music earlier?
No. There it is.
Okay, let's get started.
I drank a lot of this soda, man. We might need to take a pee-pee break in the middle of this one. We'll see.
Yeah, I didn't sleep last night, so I had the thing where I'm like, oh, I'm really hungry, and I had
That's why we were both tweeting each other at 5 a.m.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got my.
Well, sorry, you go ahead.
I was gonna say I just had like a Diet Coke right before this, which is just a poor choice. So I might be the same situation. What were you gonna say?
I just got my boost yesterday, and it's mostly fine. But it's like I feel a little groggy. I feel like a little bit headache. My arm's a little sore. Everything's just a little right now, and all those littles are adding up to a lot.
Yeah, but I'm like
we will be at the events. We'll be at the events. We'll be hanging out in the Q&A rooms, which are a thing, and I don't think we're hosting any panels ourselves. We might do the
next one, yeah. For the next one, like if you talk about like physically, the next one I think is still all virtual. So yeah, but we'll be in all the virtual rooms, hanging out, like handling stuff, talking to people. The Q&A room is a popular one, like Mike said. So yes, we'll be there in virtual spirit. Okay, I need to have this rundown. I need to hit the record button
Moderna
and then hit the
mommies
music.
Are back. That's right. 3-time Moderna mommy now. I'll tell you, I got it at Target too. They gave me a $5 Target coupon. I was very excited.
Where's my AstraZeneca Zaddies at? Where are those Zaddies? Wow. Sorry,
don't know about that.
It's yeah. I'm actually a Pfizer fuckboy.
That's right.
OG Pfizer fuckboy.
You could get Moderna now. You could become mommy and fuckboy.
Yeah, that's right. I might have to because every time
there's a whole page on Pornhub for that.
Every time I tried to schedule my my Pfizer booster, KP's like, we don't have anything for that. I'm like, what? You guys say to come schedule this, and it's just broken or something. So.
Just go to like CVS or something.
But I wanted to get Pfizer, so I'm like, but I think you're right. I'll just go and get Moderna or whatever from CVS.
There's got to be people with Pfizer also.
Probably. I'm just not going to do that much work to find it.
The auto moderating is having a field day with people talking about being Moderna fuckboys or whatever. They're getting coupons at Target. Yeah. Infernal Tim, go to CVS's website, schedule your booster, and then it'll just basically tell you to go to Target, but do it through there.
JJ paid a cut now. Okay, I'm gonna let that one through. It's the only time we'll ever let cuts through.
Auto moderation. we appreciate have any of our actual moderators here today? I don't even see any in chat. I'm taking care of all this.
Christian's there, but he's who knows what he does once the show actually starts.
He's not bothering me.
I'm trying to think. Well, I feel like I'm missing something, but probably not.
I think you're just afraid to start because you're afraid of commitment. Let's go. There he is.
Hang on, then the kid's calling me. Hang on.
All right.
There's bees. I don't think there's bees, actually. Okay. Just stay away from there. You're going to be okay. I'll get him, okay? You go watch your show. All right. Let's do this thing. Nintendogs fuckboy token.
There you go.
Okay, here we go. Let's start the show. I'm going to hit the record button, and then I'm going to... There we go. Okay, ready?
Oh, I just got a big stretch. What's like a big yawn?
It's not a bad idea.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Bees!
Whoa, what now? Bees! Your firearms are useless against them. I didn't see that movie. Wait, that's not that right. That's not the right movie.
Okay, and this one has like a second delay, so I'm gonna try to time this. Let's see here.
Got Tommy Boy and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles for a second.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is a good movie.
It is.
5, 4, 3, 2. The internet, you're busy, let's do this. Welcome to the GamesBeat Decides podcast. This is the podcast where we decide everything happening in the world of video games so you don't ever have to think for yourself. I'm your host, Jeff Grubb. With me is
NFT Minotti.
Today's episode, boy, do we have an opportunity for you. If you want to get in on the ground floor of our blockchain-based podcasting scheme, I didn't mean to use the word scheme. Okay, we'd like to apologize for what we just said about our NFT-based scheme.
Oh, they're still mad about it. They don't like the apology.
Oh, no. Okay, we are going back on this, and here, just have some money. Just have some money. Here's a puppy.
It's a puppy.
All right, we're obviously going to talk about what is going on in like the trash fire that is all of like NFTs in video games, and Peter Molyneux still just kind of, I think, is oblivious, even though he's kind of getting some of that. We'll talk about all of that in news. And we have news in this episode. We have games. But first, I want to know, how is Mike Minotti doing?
Fine. I got my booster yesterday, which is good. I also got a $5 coupon at Target when I got it, which is great. But, just like feel a little tired, a little like sore. Nothing crazy. Like I could still work. But I'm a bit of a sleepy baby.
Yeah. I was up all night. I just couldn't sleep. And I actually went downstairs. I watched No Time to Die, which is a pretty good James Bond movie. And then
that did come out.
Yeah.
That's weird. Yeah.
I mean, I watched it. I don't know. And then I'm like, I still couldn't sleep, so I got a kettlebell out and did an exercise, and that actually did the trick. I'm like, you know what? I should just do this every night, because I think my sitting in a chair all day, like trying to write and trying to like make videos or whatever. I think my body just gets like all tight, and I need to just like let my muscles get loose and do something that actually helps me sleep.
I really want to get into shape a little bit here. After I wanted to do it like now, it's impossible during the holidays. It's just gonna have to wait till after the new year. But then of course that's ridiculous because it's after the new year and everybody wants to do it. But I'm feeling sluggish and what's the word? Fat. So
weird. Same here. But hey, we got a podcast for everybody, and I want to thank everybody for joining us. You get more from Mike and me at GamesBeat.com. If you have something to share with us, you can email the podcast at GamesPlusPodcast@VentureBeat.com or get us on Twitter at GamesBeat. Thank you to Carlos Zain, who's Insane in the Rain Music on YouTube, for the use of our normal theme songs. Right now we're using the holiday theme songs. One of those is done by Dale North. Look him up. He is a great composer. We used to work with him. Good guy. If you are listening to this on the website player widget, you can subscribe to the audio version of the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever the show is found, or wherever you like catch your pods. And if you are watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, all that stuff. It really helps people find the show, and we really appreciate it. If you're watching later, leave a comment. Let us know what you like about the show. Let us know what you don't like, especially if it's Mike, especially if it's
dog.
Mike or his dog. Join the Discord. The link is in the description. It's discord.gg/GameMess. That community is always growing. They won't verify us. They've denied us twice for verification. But I'm gonna keep trying. And really, I think what it needs is it needs you out there in the listening audience. We just need you to join to make us more viable.
Yes, must be it.
And then let's see. Thanks to our mods. We really appreciate you guys helping keeping the show on track. Support the show by going to patreon.com/GameMess. That gets you into the private channels inside the Discord. You can become a podcast producer and let us know what's going. We interact a little bit more in those channels. And then this is a little bit different, but if you want to register for our upcoming GamesBeat event, this is a business-focused, gaming-focused event where we talk about like what's happening next in the world of video games. You could do that by going to events.com or events.venturebeat.com. I'll put a link in the description, both on YouTube and the podcast feed. But yeah, just go to the website there, sign up, register. Me and Mike will both be there. Dean Takahashi will be there. Rachel will be there. The whole team will be participating in a bunch of panels, answering questions. So will a lot of important people in the wider gaming community. It's a really cool thing. I always really enjoy these things. We don't intermingle too much with like the podcast audience in this thing. And we're deciding, hey, let's start to do that. So definitely show up if you want. We think that it would start to be a pretty good fit if you are listening to this podcast. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, Mike, I have a bunch of news here. You ready to get into it?
I am absolutely ready, Jeff.
All right, let's try to do this thing. Starting here with NPD. Sales for November were down year over year, largely due to a lack of hardware supply. If you look at the numbers, the total percentage of sales, across all segments of gaming, down 10%. Software was only down 1%. That's relatively flat year over year. And again, like last year was like, still prime pandemic time. And, this year we're definitely ramping back up. But November was still, most people were kind of like, oh, Omicron, whatever. We didn't really know. So like this November wasn't too affected by that. So it's pretty good that software is pretty flat, but hardware down 38%. And that's just because we're not making enough. The world is just not making enough consoles to meet demand. And then it's really hurting overall sales. Although accessory sales down 20%. Now, accessories are kind of having a similar sort of thing where it's pretty difficult to source the parts, but it's nowhere near as bad as hardware. Accessory sales it's more likely they're down because when people were buying their new hardware last year, they were buying accessories to go along with it, and they just weren't doing that this year. Anything strike you about these initial numbers, Mike?
No, it just makes sense. It's just, supply is an issue. We knew it would be, and now we're seeing it, and it's going to be an issue next month as well.
I think this is pretty indicative of what's happening. The Switch outsold Xbox and PlayStation. No surprise there. Switch is much more mature in terms of its supply, and so they're able to get more out there. But even in that case, when the Switch outsold PlayStation and Xbox, there were fewer Switches sold this year than last year. Sales for the Switch were down year over year. That's not something that I think people were expecting because the OLED just launched, and that was supposed to carry a lot of those sales, but they just weren't able to make enough of Switches as well. So it's affecting everything. It's not just the new systems that are getting hurt by this thing. Mm-hmm. In terms of software, Call of Duty #1, Battlefield 2042 #2. #3 is Pokemon, Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, and #4, Forza Horizon 5. Mike, I'm pretty shocked by Forza Horizon 5 being this high on the list as being, especially when it's like a marquee, like the marquee Game Pass game. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, we've been kind of seeing this happen, but I think it's just a way for Microsoft to continue to be bullish on Game Pass, even if like whatever their targets are for subscribers is somehow not meeting what they're hoping. They can say, well, look, it's not hurting sales anyways. It might even be helping them in some way. This is the fastest selling Forza Horizon 5 ever. So there's absolutely no reason to continue investing in this.
Yeah, it's the fastest selling Forza, whether that's a Horizon or a Motorsport too. So it's like that franchise is only getting bigger. People are only getting more excited to participate in these games, and yet Game Pass is right there as an option. So you could play that game for $10 right now if you wanted, $15 if you want to have the the online, the online functionality with it as well. Or you could get it for like $1 in like a million different deals, and yet people are still showing up to spend $60 on this game. And we had a hunch this was going to happen, just based on the early access numbers for that game. Like before it was on Game Pass, like you could pay $60 or like $80 to get it early or something like that, and 1 million people had done that or something like that. So really good sales for that game. Let's see, Shin Megami Tensei 5. Mike, I want to get your opinion on this just real quick. It was number 16 on the chart. It did have the best first month sales for Shin Megami Tensei. Is that good enough, or were you expecting more?
It's so hard to say with Shin Megami Tensei because because it's so related to Persona, we keep almost wanting to see it do better and to get more trickle effect from Persona. But it turns out the stuff that makes Persona from this different is the stuff that makes Persona appeal to more people, right? It's just a bit more bright. It's got a bit more character. It's got a bit more heart, right? People hate that. I still think this is good. There seems to be a lot of anxiety in the Megatech community as if this is selling well enough. I'm sure it's selling well enough, but I think it is also an indicator that, JRPGs are bigger than ever, and this series is growing. Shin Megami Tensei is never going to be like some kind of, Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy style franchise, at least in the West. It's never going to be that big. I mean, look, this isn't even Tales of Arise, right? That was a top 10 game when it debuted, and this isn't. So it's not on that Tales level yet.
Yeah, and I mean, they have a franchise that is in Persona, and I mean, I feel like it doesn't seem like they feel the need to shift up what Shin Megami Tensei is, because it's like, it's going to, if they want to do something like that, they'll just do it with Persona instead. Speaking of other things where like question marks around it, Metroid Dread not being on the chart, what does that say to you?
I don't like it. I don't know. It's weird because I was panicking when I saw that, and then MPD was like, no, I mean, it's doing fine. It's just, not selling as well as all those Switch games that always sell well. I'm like, oh, okay. Even still, there's part of me that just doesn't quite feel great about it. Like getting off the top 10 on, like, it's one thing not showing up the top 20 overall, but not being on the Switch top 10.
It was number 11, to be clear.
Number 11, yeah, but that's number 11. It's not number 10. You're not first, you're last, right, Ricky Bobby? So it doesn't seem great. I tell you what, like, when we were like pie in the sky, like, whoa, this game, there seems to be so much buzz for this game, and it's getting reviewed so well. And forget about 3 million. Maybe this game could be like we just mentioned, sell 10 million. Absolutely not happening. 5 million might be a stretch now. I think this still could be the best selling Metroid game ever, but it is kind of this like almost solemn reminder that for whatever reason, Metroid is never going to be like a Mario or a Zelda, at least in terms of sales.
Yeah, I'll say that like Link's Awakening for the Switch sold around 5 million copies compared to the 25 million or whatever that Breath of the Wild sold. It might just be like the perspective at a certain point. It might be more that it's a 2D game than anything else, than the fact that it's a Metroid. This will still be a very good selling 2D action adventure game that costs $60. Like these are going to be really good numbers from that perspective. But
I guess that might be fair. What do you think? What's the best selling 2D game Switch? Is it just New Super Mario Brothers?
Probably at this point, yeah. I mean, even that's not selling as well as the 3D games anymore. And we always used to say like that's 2D games are always going to sell better than 3D games because they're easier for people, and the casual audience shows up for that stuff, and that's just flipped. So
you're saying all the hope lies of Metroid Prime 4, really?
I think that this game did not hurt the prospects of Metroid in the eyes of Nintendo. If anything, it helped a little bit. Yeah. But yes, they're still like the real game here is going to be Metroid Prime 4 in terms of something that could reach that 5 to 7 million number. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's still going to do 3 million in a year, but we'll see what happens in the end. And we talk more at length about this on Last of the Nintendogs earlier this week. So if anyone wants to catch up on that stuff and all our thoughts on the Nintendo and the NPD, you could do so there. Last one here for the NPD. Guardians of the Galaxy still at number 7. It was number 7 last month, so that was for October. Number 7 for November. That's it's pretty good that it's staying. It's not dropping. A big part of that though is it went on sale, so it probably that probably helped juice it. And I mean really on sale. It was available for $25 quite a few times over the Black Friday holidays. And so when I looked into this, and I talked about this a little bit more on Grubb Snacks, but I'll reiterate it here. Seems like sales are somewhere between 1 and 1.5 million through the end of November, and that's I guess Mike, what do you feel about that number?
1.5 million isn't great for what this game is, really. And I know sometimes we're hard on Square Enix for being hard on its games, right? But for the big Guardians of the Galaxy game, especially when it's being received well and it's getting good reviews, it all kind of comes down to that first week, right? Like, so much does happen in that first week, and it's great that it is making up ground. And if it's at like number 7 again, if it's in the top 10 again in December, that's a pretty good sign that, yeah, maybe in the long run we're going to see this thing as a success. But it's rough to make up that lost ground from not having that really strong first week, and it's completely it's paying for that from it's Avengers, right? It's the Avengers effect. A lot of people didn't like the Avengers or were burned by Avengers, and they kind of are taking it out on Guardians of the Galaxy, which, even though it's not that game to an outsider, it's like another Marvel thing from Square Enix with people that kind of look like the people from the movies. And
I was playing it in front of my wife last night, and she's like, "Is this just that movie with people that look slightly different?" And I'm like, "Yes, we can have this conversation that the internet's been having for quite some time if you want." But it's like, yeah, that's what people's first impression of that still is, and
right.
And you could feel the urgency that people like have when they play the game and they end up liking it. Because they rush to Twitter, they rush to their Discords or whatever, and they're like, "Wait, everybody, I think this is really good, and you maybe should play it." And you could tell people are like, "Oh, don't let this one go by. It's it's $25, please buy it." Because I think everyone understands the baggage that people are carrying with them from the Avengers, and they're like, "Oh wait, just please discard that for this game because this game's actually probably worth your time." And I feel right now, my opinion is no matter what happens going forward, it's going to probably be too little too late for this game. I would love to be proved wrong, but I think it's probably going to be too little too late for a sequel.
I don't think we're going to be seeing any big Marvel games from people not named Insomniac for a while.
Yes, I think you're right. Okay, so that does it for MPD. Mike, how do you say Shin Megami Tensei?
I will say, I think it is Tensei. I always said Tensei, and that's probably why you're saying it, because I say it wrong to you all the time. So, yeah, I don't know why. I always say Tensei or Tensei. I can't remember.
Yeah, now I don't remember which one we say. Yeah, okay.
It's called
SMT.
10, I guess.
Yeah.
SMT, yeah, we'll call it SMT. That's why it's so important. People can't pronounce it.
Yeah, that's right. Person A is much easier to pronounce, in my opinion.
Yeah, they tried giving it like Revelations was like the series name in America at one point for a hot second, and that didn't really take.
People in the chat are like trying to like pronounce it like phonetically, but I don't trust that people like know exactly like what the sound should be. So Tense E.
It's Tensei, not Tensei.
Tensei. Okay.
Tensei,
not Tensei.
Like Sensei. Like rhymes with Sensei. Yeah, as soon as I said that, Sean Patrick was like, rhymes with Sensei. Shin Megami Tensei. Okay. That sounds weird. I mean, I believe you. Sensei. Well, all right.
All right, whatever, people. Ubisoft is remaking Splinter Cell. Mike, what the hell?
God, somebody just wrote hentai. Or is it hentai or hente? Oh, God.
It's pronounced hente.
I tell you what, it's pretty incredible the way they went about this, right? They're basically just like, look, it's starting production. So stop being mad about the NFT thing, right? It's more than that. I think it was a matter of people have been asking about this for a while. They needed a win for a lot of different reasons, right? Because I mean, the workplace stuff still gets talked about, and then they do the NFT thing everybody hates. They're finally just like, oh, screw it, let's just announce it. But like, this clearly wasn't planned, because if it was, why not just make like a 10-second trailer of darkness and then those 3 green lights pop up and give it to Jeff Keighley for the Game Awards, right? Mm-hmm. Like, why not even just do that? So this is clearly something that they rushed out just to kind of get it out there. And they even said, like, we're starting development, we're hiring. So this is a long ways off. So it's very naked and why they're doing this. But hey, people are still getting what they want. They're bringing back Splinter Cell finally.
And it is a remake, and the way that they described it, like, so it's using the Snowdrop engine. That's the Division engine from Massive. It's what they're using to make Star Wars and the new Avatar game. Yeah. And so, like, yeah, they're rebuilding this in a new engine, but it's still going to be a remake of the original game. And they said they're going to expand stuff, and they said their definition of remake is you do more than just what a remaster would be. So whatever that means, like, that's still kind of nebulous, but it's like, okay, is it going to feel like Resident Evil 2 remake? Is it going to feel like Final Fantasy VII Remake, or is it going to be something less than that even? We still don't know, but it's going to be based on that first game and then maybe bringing some other stuff in. Not open world like some of the other rumors were saying there for a while, and how I got excited about those because I would love a Splinter Cell, kind of like Metal Gear Solid 5.
I basically just like Metal Gear Solid 5 more than I like the Splinter Cell game and just want that. Now, maybe the big Splinter Cell fans are maybe they're just happy it's going to
I think that's exactly what's happening. Even though I really like that first Splinter Cell a lot, and I think this is a good idea, especially if you're going to bring in awesome new lighting tech, which, you know, lighting tech is getting, even beyond like ray tracing, lighting tech is getting very good, and you can do it dynamically. And if the whole game is based around that mechanic, I'll be in heaven. I love that idea because that seems like a very cool thing to play around with in a sandbox sort of style. I still think like that would have been awesome in an open world where I was making the choices all the time. But you know, whatever. Start here and keep doing the Splinter Cell thing after this. If they keep doing Splinter Cell after this, I bet it eventually ends up going open world because it's Ubisoft. So we'll see. NFT apocalypse is what I wrote here, and it's every week. This doesn't need to be an NFT show ever, but this news does keep popping off, and I kind of want to like keep people apprised of what's happening. So even if you try, like you want to shut your ears to this stupid stuff, you should probably still know what's happening. And I think these are good examples this week of both sides of the coin. So let's start with Peter Molyneux, who is making a blockchain game because of course he is. He is. Apparently he's already sold $40 million worth of NFTs for this game that does not exist yet, does not have a trailer, does not have a release date.
It's like I don't want to call people liars. Like that must be true in some way, but like how and to who? Like who are these people? What does that mean?
They're speculators. They're speculators just like any of this other stuff. Yeah, and
well, that's fun gameplay to speculate.
Right, and that's the whole thing. It's like that is. I mean, you nailed it right there. I'm like, where this is who this is going to be for. People who think speculating is fun and they're addicted to it, and it's gambling for them, and it's not going to be for people who already hate microtransactions and hate loot boxes. They're going to hate this even more. So,
but like what they all kind of misjudged was just how and they shouldn't have, because we've seen people get mad at loot boxes and other things before. But like all these game companies seem shocked that when they announce these things, like they're like new things, that people get mad at them.
Mm-hmm. And so, I'm not surprised that I have no idea, like, who was buying the stuff that already went on sale. It's not meant for us anymore. It's meant for this other audience. I will say that the premise for this game that as I understand it to be, is very on the nose. You run an exploitative company town. It's like about making a company town that it like exploits its workers by like forcing them to like shop in a company store or something like that. I'm like, okay, you're just kind of like running with the metaphor and making it the text. All right, good for you. The other side of it, though, is Stalker 2, a very much gamer's game. And it announced that it was going to add some light NFTs that were just for cosmetics and stuff, like, that they're like, oh, this will make it okay. They got a huge amount of backlash. If you saw the original social media post about this, every reply was just venomous and letting them know, we hate this. We really do not want this in this game. I got questions about it on Grubb Snacks yesterday, people saying, hey, this is going to be on Game Pass, and I'm almost like, it was like people were considering canceling Game Pass because they didn't want to support Stalker 2 in any way. Like, they don't even want to like look at it on Game Pass. Like, that's how much people were having a backlash to NFTs. But that backlash was so effective, basically, that the Stalker 2 devs came out and apologized. That apology didn't go over well enough, and so they're like almost immediately took that apology down and said, actually, we're not doing this anymore. No NFTs in the game. So the reason I say this is both sides of the coin is Peter Molyneux is going to just kind of obliviously go find this other audience for it and make a game for that audience. And then if you are making a game for gamers, they're going to get loud, and there's almost no way to navigate those choppy waters. And if people keep getting loud, I think most of the time these developers are going to respond by saying, oh, fuck, let's just take it out. It isn't worth all this.
And Peter Molyneux could do what he wants because he's not relevant anymore.
That's a big part of it, right? I mean, like, I don't care what Peter Molyneux is going to do. He has to like prove himself again to me, right?
Like, so it's not like I would have been excited about the Peter Molyneux game if it didn't have NFTs in 2021. Mm-hmm. Of course he's going to make an NFT game, whatever. And there are going to be NFT games. There are NFT games, and they're going to make a lot of money, and they're going to have nothing to do with what me and you think of as gaming, really.
Right. Yep.
Right. And there's going to be people who are going to try to force it into those games, just like when Farmville was a success, and just like when loot boxes caught on, everybody just tries to throw those things in there because they make money, and then they'll go and they'll tweet about, well, this is the future, right? That was the whole thing from the last round of financial reports. Everyone's like, well, NFTs are the future. What future? Why? Yeah. How are they making this? And they don't know. And I think they just thought that if they kept screaming that it's the future, that people would be excited about it without them even bothering to explain how this would make anything more fun or interesting. And now they're all shocked that people have like a distaste for it, when it's because it's obvious what it is. It is just about speculating and making money. You know, you could do all this stuff without NFTs. Like in Stalker, it was like, oh, if you got an NFT, it will make you an NPC in the game. Well, you don't need NFTs to do that. Like, what the hell's the point of it?
Yep,
right?
Absolutely right. Yep. And it's you know, this stuff's probably going to find its way into the periphery of stuff that we consider games. The stuff where the audience shows up just for that specific kind of game, sports games. I still think very large opportunity for someone like EA to make NFTs work there. I think that audience right now, like FIFA, that FIFA audience is pretty primed to do a backlash to anything new like that. But so, like one of those games, like Madden or NBA, they'll get away with it, and then it'll just become the industry standard for sports games going forward. But they're not going to be able to put it into the next Star Wars Battlefront. That would be insane. There's no way that could happen at this point.
It's right. I mean, there's such a disparity between like these game executives and some people who are just excited about whatever new technology and how excited they seem about NFT. And then like the gamers who are mad about Stalker. I guess my question is, what do the young people think, really, right? Because if they're fine with it, then yes, NFTs are going to be a thing. If the people who do just make Call of Duty the best-selling game each year, even when everyone says it's not a good Call of Duty this year, if they're okay with it, then it'll probably be a thing. If they're not, it won't. And I can't even pretend to be as in tune with that audience as I maybe once was anymore, right?
Yeah, so I want to be optimistic and say that they are very tuned into environmental issues, and I think that alone might make it a third rail sort of thing. If you take the environmental issues out of it, I still think most people are like, we could see through this. We know what this is. But again, that just might be me being optimistic, and I don't know.
You think a lot of people have canceled their NFT plans, or at least they're like announcements of them now because of how poorly Ubisoft and then this one went?
I think that I bet there are in every single publisher and developer around the world that has had any NFT conversation, there are people inside those companies screaming, look at what's happening with the Stalker. Look what's happening with Ubisoft. It's what I said would happen. We can't do this. We can't do this. And whether or not that person gets listened to or not, I have no idea. I think that their arguments are kind of being made for them right now in the public. And all they have to do is just point and say, look at this. We cannot do this ourselves because someone else has done this, and they've just basically stepped on the biggest rake right now. So, yeah, I expect NFT conversations to maybe cool off a little bit until one of these peripheral examples makes it work, basically. So, we'll see.
Are they all going to try to find a new word for NFTs? That's not because now the NFT thing is saying they're going to find a more fun word. Fun tokens.
I mean, play to
earn was an attempt at that, and I think it's too cynical to catch on everybody. It's so like, look, guys, you're earning things, and that's why like, oh, we're giving people more value. Mm-hmm. You're earning things. Like, I'm not playing video games to make money. I'm just not.
Yeah. Like, and it would legit ruin video games for me. Like that whole concept. If I already have a problem with that. Like, my whole job is like, oh, how can I monetize my hobby? I do not need that when I'm actually playing the games as well. Please, God, save me from that. So, yeah. All right, let's move on. We don't want to spend much more than that on any episode about NFTs, but we just want to keep people apprised of what's going on. So, Mike, why the hell was Final Fantasy XIV too successful? I was doing Grubb Snacks, and I sort of saw this, and I legit don't think I understand what happened here.
So the expansion came out, and it's very, very good, and the game was already growing in popularity, basically because of an exodus from WoW and some other factors, and then everybody just discovering Final Fantasy XIV is very good. But so there's some people who want to play the game right now that the queues are hours long. People can't get in. They can't expand the servers because of supply chain issues, so they can't make these servers any bigger. They can't add new servers. So there's nothing they can do except they're going to stop selling the game for a while. They're not going to allow any new free trial people to sign up. If you do have a free trial right now, you can only log in during non-peak hours, and they're pulling all advertisement for the game. They're basically doing everything they can to discourage people from playing the game now because too many people want in. It's like the episode of South Park where Cartman buys a theme park and he does the ads like, ha ha ha, you can't come in, it's only for me. Then of course everybody just wants to come in more.
Right. So the whole meme about how it's, the award-winning expansion, free up to level 60 and stuff, it has officially worked so well that it has backfired. And now they're wait, please stop that meme. Please don't do that meme anymore.
No, the meme's not the opposite now. Like, hey, you cannot play Final Fantasy XIV. There is no free trial that includes the main scenario and the award-winning expansion, Heaven's Word. like you do not get to play out hundreds of hours of free content. Yeah, so it's pretty nice. They did do something similar back when the first wave came in, when they were completely caught off guard. But this is even more like the whole pulling advertisement. Even that's pretty nuts here. Gosh, I tell you what. Is there any game that's holding up its company more than Final Fantasy XIV is holding up Square Enix right now?
I'm trying to think. What does Sega have that works really well? Persona's not that big. It's big, but it's not that big.
No, it's like they have a lot of okay hits like Yakuza. Like the Sonic games will still always do well.
Right. Yeah. But, so but they have a bunch of smaller tentpoles, and that's working for them. I guess. I would say Take-Two with GTA Online, but they have other games that are successful and stuff. They have NBA 2K, and that's huge, almost as huge.
Like you talked about, like Final Fantasy VII Remake, right? Which was a game that people begged them to make for years, right? And they went all in on it, made a very expensive, very polished, very intense game.
I don't think there's any chance. A fraction of what this game is making. Yes, right. What Final Fantasy XIV is making compared to what Final Fantasy VII Remake made. It's not even a comparison. It's a completely different stratosphere. So, yeah. So too successful to exist, basically, with a free trial.
Success. Yep.
These things, this will cool off. It always does. I think with these expansions, right? And they'll kind of get back to a point where the advertising probably comes back. Do you think the free trial comes back?
Free trial, everything will come back, and they're saying the one nice thing is that they're always very open about the stuff, right? And talking about it. And I should say they're also giving people weeks of free game time to make up for this, right? So not being able to log in, you're not paying for those weeks where you can't reasonably play the game as much as you want. So there's that nice too. It's interesting too because the community is they're mostly understanding of it and supportive, and again, they're just kind of making fun memes about the game's too successful, right? And it's one of those things like if this happened to World of Warcraft, they would all be freaking out. But that's just the difference when there's kind of a level of trust and affinity.
The well hasn't been poisoned here. Like they've completely repaired the well once, and now everyone's like, oh yeah, you have the benefit of the doubt, and Blizzard does not right now.
But it is just again, 10 years ago or whatever, this was the game that was so awful they had to stop selling it for a different reason, right? They had to remake the game. Now 10 years later, the game is hitting its stride so much that it's just too popular.
Yeah, it's beyond it. It's outpacing every other game. It's just the fastest growing thing in the world right now. Tencent acquires Turtle Rock, the developer of Back 4 Blood and a handful they did Evolve, right?
And this is Evolve, which we thought was going to be the biggest game ever at that E3. Everybody at that E3 did.
Tell you what, it showed really good at E3. It was really well. It was a lot of fun in that environment. You take it out. Yeah, you take it out of that environment, not so much. But hey, what do we know?
Not much.
I guess we probably could have guessed that Tencent was going to keep acquiring companies to the point that they got Turtle Rock, though. They've been doing a lot of that this year. I mean, it's the same story as always. Tencent it wants to have its fingers in so many different pies in gaming. It really expects many of these bets to pay off, but it has so many bets that if one of these doesn't, it's not that big a deal. But yeah, now Tencent now has Turtle Rock in its empire, and yeah, I kind of don't know what else to say about this. You have any other thoughts?
No, I mean, Chess, it seems about right? Somebody was going to acquire Turtle Rock.
Oh, yes.
It could have even have been Microsoft, really. And I can't help but wonder, maybe they would have preferred to have been acquired by Microsoft. But hey, you can't turn down that money right now.
Right.
This is the time to be acquired.
Yes, they're never going to be worth more than they're worth right now. Back 4 Blood was a pretty decent success for them. And just the thirst among companies like Tencent to acquire studios is at a fever pitch. So yes, I think now is the time to do it. Halo got new playlists. Have you hopped back in since this has happened? I haven't had much time for Halo this week.
Just a little bit, because they brought back like the Fiesta playlists, which is neat. And you can now do a Slayer playlist. So, it's one of the things that people were complaining was missing. And mostly rightfully so, though, because it was the Halo community, especially on like Reddit, they were acting like it was the biggest atrocity in the world. But I am glad to have these playlists. I imagine more improvements like this will keep coming. I already liked Halo multiplayer a lot, and just it keeps getting better.
Yep. Minecraft is the first game to get 1 trillion views on YouTube. It's one of those things that's like, this is just that quiet, like chugging massive train in the background that I forget it's like always growing and growing and growing.
Right. Not to like talk about NFTs again, but like, maybe there is going to be an NFT game that's going to be like the biggest thing ever.
Yeah.
And it could still feel incredibly separate from what any of us talk or care about.
It seems like the real only viable path for it going forward.
Right. Like just like with like Roblox right now is probably the like one of the most sporting games ever. Like none of the sites talk about Roblox. It just doesn't really fit with what we're doing here. There's just so many different sectors of gaming now. And for a while it was weird because it wasn't like that. Everybody was trying to do their coverage of casual and social games and all this stuff. And like it's like, oh, no one reads this. Like they don't.
They could just play for free. So why they don't need to like read about it? They'll just go try it themselves. Yeah. Like, it really shifted things around. I think Jeff Gerstmann in his Halo review sort of talked about that in terms of reviews. If anyone wants a good perspective on that from someone who's been doing it a long time.
I was thinking about that too, because I want to write my Final Fantasy XIV review, and I almost thought I would write today, and I'm like, people can literally not buy the game right now. Like I think I could wait another week and even digest it all even more slowly, because like what's the rush? I mean, if you guys are anxious, it's going to be 5 out of 5. Like don't worry. But I'll be I don't think I'm in a rush now.
All right, let's see. PlayStation acquired Valkyrie Entertainment. My understanding, this is a support studio. Yeah. PlayStation's done a lot of this as well. I think they are just making sure that they have a lot of talent in place to make sure that when they make their next games, which are going to be bigger than the biggest games ever that they've already made, that they have the infrastructure in place to deliver those at a reasonable time, on a reasonable time frame. Basically, this fits with their strategy. I expect them to keep doing stuff like this into the future. Any thoughts on this?
Mufti actually sent us a super chat saying, "Hey boys, what do you think about Sony acquiring Studio Valkyrie recently?" And yeah, I do think this is just, they know that the studio is reliable. They're going to need support studios as their games keep getting bigger and bigger. So they probably because it's support studio, it probably wasn't as big an investment as some of the other ones. And it is something. It could be an investment. Maybe someday they're not a support studio anymore. Maybe someday they can make their own game. I think it's very smart. I think it's a good move.
Yeah, and they're going to keep doing stuff like this for sure.
Mm-hmm. It might not be as sexy, obviously, as even Tencent buying Turtle Rock, but it makes a lot of sense.
You could get new colors of DualSense and new plates for your PlayStation 5. Mike, any interest in this?
No, white is perfect. I'll tell you what, Jeff, I'm not over it. Every time I go in my living room, I see that PlayStation 5. I think that thing is damn beautiful. I love it. I would have never taint it with a primary color.
Wow.
Even a secondary color, whatever they're called. What are they
called?
Strong
opinions from Mike Minotti. Primary is the only thing coming to my head right now because you said that.
Do they call them secondary colors? That seems kind of like mean. Like green,
yeah, you're demeaning. Yeah. It's I think they call them DOMs and subs, so DOM colors and sub colors.
Green, totally a sub color. Oh no! I just realized I probably like green, orange, and purple a lot more than I like red, blue, and yellow.
Basically, red, blue, and yellow come step on your face. Yeah.
Wow! For the first time ever, anybody got sub vibes from me.
All right. Let's see. Sony is improving its publishing process and relationships for indie devs. This is something that was a report a while ago, basically saying that if you're an indie developer, it's really sort of challenging to work with PlayStation and kind of get the most out of your time, like working with PlayStation. You don't like you basically you have to submit your game. It goes through this process where they decide like how good of a game it is, and then you get so much resources based on that number, and you don't really get any insight into that process. You don't really know who to contact if you have questions. They'll contact you, that sort of thing. It was a mess. It didn't feel good for people making games, and so you saw a lot of situations where devs would definitely prioritize Switch and Steam because it's so easy, and Switch because the games would sell better on there. And so the games would come later to PlayStation, and Sony didn't seem to mind because I don't think that they were prioritizing this as like important to their bottom line. I think that that report sort of wounded them a little bit to the point where like, hey, we were going to do this stuff anyhow. Let's do it a little bit quicker. Essentially, the big changes seem to be like improving those relationships to the point where if you are a studio trying to publish an indie game on PlayStation, you're going to have someone there that is going to be able to answer all your questions and provide you with insight into how the whole process works and how to get featured on the store and all this stuff. And a lot of that stuff will still involve like giving Sony money, but they'll make it much more transparent, basically. And it just sounds like they're really ensuring that process is nicer. I don't know. Any thoughts on that, Mike, before I get to like some release dates and the last few bits of news?
No, just that. Remember that time before that report even came out that the indie devs were frustrated at Sony, where you had written in a story that Sony wasn't prioritizing indie games, and Reset Era got very mad at you.
Yes. And now it's like Sony's like, hey, we weren't being so good to our indie games, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, you're still a jerk.
Yep. Hey, you know what? And I'm happy to be a jerk to Reset Era. Come on.
Oh God, yeah.
All right. Anacrusis is launching January 13th. That is another one of those Left 4 Dead style games. This is one that takes place on basically a space cruise ship. So like that doomed Star Wars Disney hotel, Mike, which I'm sure you might. Have you ever been hearing about that? I'm sorry, like I'm going on a tangent, but
the
Star Wars hotel thing that is like seems like it's like in trouble, or is that overblown?
I don't know if it's in trouble. I don't know. There might be a lack of interest, but does this take place in a Star Wars hotel?
No. It takes place on a space cruise ship that is similar in theming to that. That's why I went on that tangent. Yeah.
People seem to think this one has maybe more promise than any of the other kind of Left 4 Dead clones we've been getting, right?
I think it has more potential based on the idea that they are really focusing on it being the game that you play once or twice a week with the group of friends, and it's like your reason to hang out. And by coming at it from that angle, I think they're gonna like focus on the parts that are important to that audience, and you're gonna see it like it's gonna have like 5,000 concurrent players for like years, I think, or something like that. Last story I have here is Bungie was also a toxic workplace. This came from a story from Rebecca Valentine over at IGN. She talked to about 24 people, and it sounds like they were aware of this before the story was coming out. They've been working on trying to improve their culture. They still were like very apologetic. I will say overall, it seems like Bungie handled this really well, and they continue to handle it well by like just ousting anyone that might have looked bad in the story, and they're trying to kind of do it on the up and up. It really makes Activision Blizzard look worse by comparison, even if Bungie also still was a pretty toxic place to work for quite some time.
Right. I mean, you can see a lot of parallels with Bungie and Blizzard in that they were studios that had been around for a long time, and they probably had very non-diverse staff for a long time. So big surprise when they finally realized, oh yeah, we do have to invite more people in. For a while, they were pretty shitty to them for, just obvious workplace culture that became a bro culture, because for a while it was nothing but bros. And it seems like they are working that. Their head of HR announced that she was leaving after this story came out, so there's even more things happening there. But we know that these things have been happening all around the industry. We've been hearing about from Riot, from Ubisoft, even places like Insomniac. So it's always nice for it to get more out there for people to understand, like, hey, this isn't acceptable, and kind of putting everyone on blast. If this is happening at your studio, you better do something about it now. Let's keep progressing here. So great story, right. Really good read, very very detailed, lots in there.
And I will say that the story's coming out with the ball gets rolling slowly, but eventually it happens to the point where these problems sort of become solved more efficiently each time. Ubisoft was a mess, and did they really actually improve their workplace? It's hard to tell. Activision Blizzard seems to be a target because stories came out, and then the government was like, hey, we're going to make them pay. And that seems to be, things are still happening there, right? There's still reason to have hope that things could change. And then we get to Bungie, stories come out about Bungie, and it's like, we probably wouldn't have got these stories about Bungie if these previous stories hadn't happened, and encouraged reporters to really dig in. And now here we are, and Bungie's like, we want to fix this ourselves. We are determined to do so. It is that incremental change that feels very painful in the process, where we're like, this is going really slowly. People should just know not to behave this way. But it takes a while for these big wobbly ships to change course. And it feels like, at least in one case, those stories are encouraged that course change to happen. So I'm hopeful. Absolutely. All right, Mike, that does it for the news. I know we got a bunch of super chats. I got a bunch of questions from the community. Do you want to hop in? Let's start with the super chats.
Let's do this. If you guys have any questions you want to ask, you can send us a super chat or comment or whatever, and we will read it on the air. And that is a Mike Minotti promise and guarantee. My glasses are kind of scuffy. I'm getting tired of glasses, Jeff. I've been thinking about, I kind of want to just do the LASIK thing.
Oh, wow. Going for the LASIK. Now, do you have like a astigmatism or anything like that?
I used to wear contacts. And then I went to glasses for years, and I tried to go back to contacts, and I had astigmatism, and they gave me the astigmatism contacts, and they were so uncomfortable. I can't do it.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm over the glasses. I'm over it. So we'll see.
All right.
But that'll be an after Christmas thing to think about. Kung Fu Hot Dog says, Merry almost Christmas, lads. Go see the new Spider-Man film ASAP. It's 100% a crowd pleaser. Jeff loves your seafood gameplay, dude. I saw Spider-Man last night.
I am trying to find a way to go see it here soon. It sounds like people really love it. How do you feel about it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I did enjoy it. And I'm somebody who's probably becoming slightly jaded to like all the Marvel stuff. Finally, I haven't seen Shang-Chi yet. And I actually do want to. And I didn't see Eternals yet and probably never will. And it used to just be like, oh, I would automatically go see all of those, of course.
Right.
So, and like, I'm not caught up on a lot of the TV shows or anything now. So, yeah, I'm slightly jaded, but I still enjoyed the new Spider-Man a lot. Tell you what, it's certainly going to be the biggest movie in a long time.
Yeah, it's like the timing of it seems so weird. It's like you're starting to hear about like Montreal didn't let the hockey teams play in front of an audience for the first time since they let audiences come back, and it's like, oh, things are getting bad again. And now this movie's like coming out right as that's happening. It's like weird timing, but I still think you're right. It's going to be a really big release. So
yeah, it's going to make a ton of money. David Redicop says, now that Sony owns Bruce Springsteen, when can we expect the release of his prestigious third-person action game, and which developer will make it? I hope it's whoever made Revolution X. I hope that's who makes this game. Maybe Sega will make it with all that Moonwalker experience that they had. You know, there's an arcade version of Moonwalker, and it's an isometric game. It's like completely different.
No, I did not know that. It has
like fancy like 2D arcade graphics.
I did not know that. I'll go a different direction. I want it to be like that Bruce Willis Apocalypse game.
For PlayStation 1.
Yeah, for PlayStation 1, starring Bruce Willis is like the second biggest words on there other than Apocalypse.
Was that Crystal Dynamics?
Yeah, it's published by Activision. I don't know the developer.
I'm gonna find it out. Bruce Willis, PlayStation 1.
They should just make it like just for some reason.
It's Neversoft.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, just for some reason, a Bruce Springsteen character model in some weird action game. It probably set in New Jersey, but yeah, that sounds good to me.
There you go. Yeah, we can do that. Xbox will never be better than PlayStation, says Jeff Grubb. Lied about Kojima and Xbox at the Game Awards. Laughing, crying face, clown face, liar. Well, Jeff, I mean, he already told you this last week in Game Us, buddy.
Yeah.
And you calmly explained to him how you never said that was happening at the game. In fact, you said it wasn't going to happen at the Game Awards.
So this point, for me to be a liar, it would have had to have been there. But whatever. All right. Hey, thanks for the money.
Yeah, he must be in on it at this point. I must be in show.
This is probably someone we know personally that's like, I just want to like bust their balls a little bit, give them some money.
It's probably you know what? It's probably RGT.
It's probably RGT. There we go. Yeah. Hey! I'll say the Xbox Killer shows up in the Spawncast chat sometimes. So I'm just saying I haven't seen them in the same room together before. So
there you go. Jared Howler said, on last week's podcast, I criticized your Halo review for being too generous, and I want to apologize. No hate. Worries. I just don't like unfinished games.
Yeah, I just and for me, I just disagree with that concept. I was thinking about this a lot because people, I was listening to another podcast, and they compared it to like a test, and like, oh, if you get 5 out of 10 answers on a test right, and even if those answers are really, really good, you still get like a 50%. And it just does not work that way at all. It doesn't matter what the developer or publisher says is going to be in the game, or even what was in previous games before. When someone puts a game in front of you, you kind of act like an Olympic judge. It's like you shut everything else out. It only depends on the performance that you see. And if what they deliver is, something that you enjoy, you score it and rate it and review it in relative terms to that. And you can explain, hey, it does feel like maybe this game should have co-op based on this and this, but does that ruin the experience? Not in my opinion. If it does in yours, that's totally fine. You should say so. But for me, it just did not. Like it had no real effect on my enjoyment.
I always understood people who were like, to them, not having co-op at launch is a big deal, or who were really upset about not having those playlists at first. Like, I get it. It just didn't bother me. It really didn't bother me at all.
It's like, I feel like it's like one of the most known factoids about that game. everyone who likes co-op and Halo games knows this one doesn't have co-op. Like, it's not like going to be some surprise. So it's covered in the news. I just don't feel like the need to like make that the center point of my review. My review is based on the game they delivered, and that's what I reviewed. And that's all I can really do is just say whether or not I like the thing they delivered.
Alrighty, next up, It's Identical says, I can never watch live, but to add what I saw about live in a Nintendo world, I'll talk about our topic from the last Nintendo's this week. Yep. I live in Zelda's. I'll give Link fetch quests. P.S. Stream more, Mike. Yes, I'm sorry. I haven't been streaming much because I've been very busy playing Final Fantasy XIV Story, which is very emotional. And not something that like I want to share. Also, it's just filled with spoilers. You shouldn't watch
blubbering the whole time while he's playing everybody. He's just very ashamed about his emotions.
I've done that now. I think I might. So I'll probably stream some more Halo soon. Holidays now too, so it might be a little busy. But next week, I'm not working next week, so I'm gonna be home a lot, so I can probably do some streaming there. I'll stream some Halo. I want to try doing the extreme trials on Final Fantasy XIV also, so maybe I can stream my attempts at those. I need to find people to do those with, but I'm sure I'll figure something out. Uriel Delgado says Nintendo is into fungible tokens. Seeing how Earthbound used is expensive as hell. Yeah, it sure is. Man, how was that not? Oh, we didn't talk about this, but it is pretty funny that they added Sega Genesis games right after. Like, I convinced you on Tuesday that there weren't going to be anymore, and then you repeated me on
That's right. That's right. That's how it goes.
The day before, they were like, "Here's 5 new games." I was like, "Ooh, all right, I guess it's wrong." I'm just always right.
And I'm like, that's just sound logic. That sounds like they should. Like, if they were going to be there, they would have been there. Like, no, it's not going to happen. Hours later, it gets announced. That's how it goes sometimes. Oh well.
Pretty nice selection. There are some Genesis games, like those early games with like the crosshatch like thing.
Dynamite Heady is one I've never played that I'm like,
Dynamite Heady's a bit later, and that's Treasure, and it's fantastic.
Yes,
it's not Treasure's best Genesis game. That would be Gunstar Heroes.
Well, Gunstar Heroes is probably the best Genesis game, period.
It very easily could be. But like you have Sword of Vermilion, that's like a Genesis Gen game. Thunder Force 2, even Altered Beast. And some people are kind of mean to Altered Beast now. And like I kind of get it. It's very simple, but it's still fun. And it again, Genesis game. That was the packing game when the Genesis first launched.
Agreed. I'm glad it's there. It should be there. Like, you should play it if you've never played it before. And you're probably not gonna like it, but I loved it when I was a kid. When I was a kid playing it over at my friend's house, I really enjoyed it. So whatever.
Yeah. All right. Boat Knight says, is the $70 game price $90 in Canada bad? Yeah, it seems like some countries are absolutely getting the bad end of the deal here with some of these conversion rates on game prices, Jeff. I think you talked about this a little bit on Grubb Stacks too, and I don't know what to say about it besides that it sucks.
Yeah, I mean, it's the kind of thing that will cause like unit sales to go down, but I think they know in their hearts that the audience that shows up for these games will kind of keep showing up, and the ones that are going to wait for a sale will wait for a sale, whether it starts at 90 or starts at 70 or starts at 60 or 50 or whatever. They're going to wait for a sale, but that sale price that they end up like pulling the trigger at might be higher now. So it's going to move the average sales price up. And they know that the people who are really into gaming right now aren't like happy with a lot of their alternatives. Like, I mean, like you talk about it all the time. You don't watch a lot of TV shows. You don't watch a lot of movies. You play a lot of games. I think there's a lot of people who have that same sort of relationship where games are their hobby, and the price going up is not going to be enough to push them away from it. And so it's kind of just, it is publishers taking advantage of the market that they've created. And at a certain point, it was going to happen. And it stinks. And it means you're probably going to end up most people are going to end up buying fewer games. But that's why stuff like Game Pass is so appealing right now. So, like, take advantage of those options.
If it was available for sale, I'd tell you to buy Final Fantasy XIV because that could take up a lot of your time. But you're not allowed right now. We're not allowing any more people. It's a very exclusive club right now.
Yeah, it would be really good for you, but fuck you.
Napper says $101 with taxes for Ratchet and Clank in Canada. That's a game our chat doesn't even like.
Yeah, right. Yeah, one of our top 5 games of the year easily, but everyone else here doesn't like it.
Apparently. Isaac Spencer says, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Thanks for a great show as always. Question, what are your thoughts on eggnog? All I need is 1 cup, then I'm good. I don't like any milky, dairy, thick drinks. I don't like any stuff. I don't even really like milk to like just drink a glass of milk. I'm not a big fan of that. So I consider myself like a very Christmassy guy, but I do not like eggnog. Just get me like a beer.
I'm mostly with Mike on this. I mean, I do not drink milk pretty much at all. If I have cereal, I'll have like something like almond milk.
I eat my cereal. I just claw dry bits of cereal out of like the box and shove it down my gullet. That's how I eat cereal.
I mean, it's the same thing as like chips. Basically, you're not like you are not wrong for that at all. It's just a snack. I don't drink eggnog. It's not going to be to me. It's mostly like a gross concept. A thick drink is unless it's like a White Russian, then I'll have that every once in a while, and that's like the one situation in which I'll have like a creamy drink. But yeah, other than that,
Nick Turbo, behave.
Uh-oh.
No, he's fine. It's actually pretty funny. I'll give it up to him, but I'm not going to repeat it here. Jared Helder says, "Do you know how involved China is in video games? Pretty darn involved."
God, what does that mean? They are.
Does it mean the government? Because like they put a ton of regulations. Like they will tell Tencent sometimes like you can't make any more games or something like that. I always read
like
these
Chinese
things,
companies, like not even like foreign companies. Like they tell Chinese companies, "Hey, stop making new games, and the games you have only let children play them for an hour every Saturday and Sunday, and that's it." And it's like. Yeah,
I think China's kind of going through that thing we went through in the 90s where right now like the China government is like video games are destroying the youth. Obviously, what are we going to do about it?
It's a combination of like the 1960s sort of culture clash but without like the counterculture, and then the and then like Joe Lieberman and the 90s. Right, exactly. And then 1990s Joe Lieberman stuff, and it's very much about we got to protect the kids, but we also got to get back to old good Communist Party values. And it's it's discouraging and disheartening and scary. And I don't know, get on the gray market, get a VPN, and keep just playing Steam games if I were in China.
Which is weird. It's just that's always in the back of my mind when it's like Turtle Rock, acquired by Tencent. Like, what do they really think about some of that stuff sometimes, right? Again, that's why I'm like, I bet they would have preferred to have been acquired by Microsoft.
Right. I mean, and Tencent is making a lot of foreign investments, a lot of studios outside of China,
even in Japan,
specifically because that might be a safer investment for them than Chinese-based investments right now, because they need games that can quickly work in other markets to ensure that they can keep growing. And the regulation in China is going to be like a big headache for them, like for Tencent, like one of the biggest companies in that country.
One of the biggest companies in the world.
Biggest companies in the world, right. And they bring in a ton of money for that government, for they employ thousands of people, and yet that's not getting them any sort of like leeway.
No.
There's going to be like the clash there is between corporate culture and government culture, the party culture, and it's who knows how it's going to shake out in the end. It does seem like heads are going to roll on the corporate side before the party side, but I'm no expert. I try to keep up on this stuff. It's very complex. I'm no expert.
Sure, yeah. It turns out the whole China thing is very complex right now.
Turns out.
But it's still worth talking about. Boogster1919 says, anything new on Coalition's new IP? Jeff, we know that it wasn't that Matrix thing. That's not that other project you're talking about. Do we have any idea what it is before they make Gears of War 6 or Gears 6?
I don't know what the IP is. I know that it is something new though. Still, it's not tied in anything yet. It might get tied into one of their existing IPs, like a Microsoft existing IP or Gears at some point. Right now, it still seems separate. I think there is some more information out there floating around, but nothing too solid that I would want to share at this point. So right now, just basically, it is just a new IP. It'll be smaller. It's coming in 2023. Those are the basic facts.
Can you just tell me it's Crimson Skies?
It's Crimson Skies 2. How many Crimson Skies were there?
There's
just the
two.
One? Two? Okay,
there was like the PC one and the Xbox one, and they were different games.
Okay. Well, yeah, Crimson Skies 3. There you go, Mike. You're not even the Crimson Skies guy. Wasn't it your brother?
It's really my brother, but it's a series with so much potential.
And I like the idea too.
I love the idea of it. Yeah. And we don't there's nothing else that they have that's like that, really. So that just seems to me the most obvious thing to bring back. Like we joke about Blinks the Cat. I wouldn't really bring Blinks the Cat back, but absolutely do I think the whole Crimson Skies idea should get another go. Anthony says, how much Nintendo? What have I been watching? How much Nintendo memorabilia do you think Miyamoto has? What do you think he has in his house, closet / storage unit? I mean, I'm sure he's got just an absolute ton of stuff. And I wonder how much of it is just like merchandise and how much of it is like the spreadsheets from designing Mario 1, right? Stuff like that.
Yeah. I think there's a chance that like he doesn't bring any of that stuff home because he's like, I just keep that stuff separate, and I want my home to be free of that. I just have like 50 banjos, and that's all that's in my house. And I don't know, I mean like banjos and Banjo-Kazooie, I mean the instrument.
That'd be weird,
yeah. But I don't, he probably has like stuff, like his original drawings for like Donkey Kong and Mario and stuff. That stuff is probably lying around the house.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what happens to all that stuff someday.
I hope we get, I just hope that becomes sort of public museum material eventually.
Yeah, museum. Yeah. Well, there's no reason why Nintendo can't have a museum.
There's a Studio Ghibli museum. Nintendo needs to do that immediately.
Right. The Studio Ghibli museum was like half like a park, not like a theme park, but like a park and like an art installation. It's supposed to be beautiful. So
exactly, and Nintendo could easily do the same thing.
Yeah, Jeff, that is it for the super chats for now.
Okay, let's get into the community questions from the Discord. If you want to ask one of these, just join the Patreon, patreon.com/GameBest. Gets you into the podcast producers channel. There's a pinned message in there. You can click that link. You can send in your questions each week. Let's start here with a big jerk. That's not a name for Mike Minotti. It's just their name. A big jerk. How come when you guys find out something during the show, Jeff always says he'll look into it? Why doesn't Mike ever?
Oh my god, I just got called out.
That's good. I like that a lot.
Honestly, I don't do nearly as much reporting as Jeff, especially now. Ever since Jason left, I'm much more.
Yeah, Mike's all over now. Yes, he's over everything. Yep.
The new thing now is like I'm in charge of guest posts, and that is taking up a lot of time now. So I've gone from like, even before I was writing maybe 10 stories a week, I'm maybe writing like 3-4 now.
Yep.
So I'm just I'm kind of transitioning from, I love writing. I still consider myself like a writer primarily, but there's
a lot of responsibilities that got left, and Mike's picking up a lot of that stuff.
Right. Hey, look, Jeff's the one with he has the sources that I do not. He's developed all of these channels and different things. He's part of like that community now, and I'm just not. So that's his game. If it's something very specific to me, sometimes I'll like, if it's something Sonic related, I'll have better
Sonic, Blizzard. There's a few things where it's like, we'll ask around, like we can ask PR, maybe get an answer, and I'm like, Mike, do that. That has happened before, by the way, and it probably hasn't happened recently. So from Gigamir. I used to think NFTs were almost universally panned by anyone that wasn't quietly trying to scam others, but I'm slowly noticing more ground floor enthusiasm for this in some social circles from seemingly well-intentioned people. Can you try to explain where you think that position is coming from? Are these people pretty much being played, or is there some part of NFTs that could actually be a force for good? Is it naivete or is it naive to hope this isn't just everyone backstabbing each other for money?
I think because
yes, that is.
Our own dean is one of them, and we would sometimes get frustrated about it. And I think we kind of understand now. Some people are just very excited about new technology things or anything that they think is going to be the future of whatever, and so they'll kind of be on board with it in that sense. There are some people who are just cynically interested in the way that it's going to make money, and there are just some people who think speculation is neat or is fun in and of itself. Like I'm kind of on the opposite. I feel like speculation is, if not quite evil, certainly like a net negative for society. So the idea of like making that a part of gaming.
How nice was it when Keanu Reeves basically just said that? He's like, art is meant to be experienced, not as an investment. When someone asked him about NFTs, and then he just laughed. And I'm like, oh God, Keanu Reeves, thank God for you. Yeah. Like it's so nice to hear someone that famous with such a grasp on the subject and such an understanding, and able to voice it and make it like seem so silly.
The fact that I can't have an investment in a game unless it's a financial investment is upsetting. Right?
A depressing notion, and a potentially evil one. Like it's right there on the border of evil, I think. So,
but again, but a lot of people who are interested in it and not for like cynical reasons, they because Dean's one, I think Tinsley's even one of them, Jeff, right? She's
at least like wanting to like take a counterpoint in some situations. She just said she told me she doesn't really care, like she's not interested in personally. So
I didn't mean to put her on blast because I don't think it's inherently evil with it. I don't think it's really inherently evil anyways.
No, I think the concept itself,
it's super American, I'll tell you that, right?
I mean,
so I think a lot of people are just excited about technology.
It's what it really is, and this is something Austin Walker posted today, and something that I've definitely agreed with in the past, that it is a through line from what we saw with like GameStop earlier this year, where people see an opportunity to disrupt a system that has continued to funnel money in one direction towards one group of people, and now we are sort of trying to put cracks in that system and funnel that money towards other people, but it's not like pulling the system down and putting up a new one in its place. It is just changing where the levies are going slightly, and people are saying, now is my opportunity to get into the front of that money sieve and start collecting and getting mine.
It's moving money around. It's not creating anything. It's just moving money around.
Right, and
it's like in Hamilton. You just want to move our money around.
Yeah, yes, exactly. And it's like, and we haven't been able to move it in the direction of younger people who have been interested in these new technologies for decades. It's only moved in one direction, and now people are like, hey, it is an opportunity for get mine if I embrace this. And that's very appealing to a lot of people, and I don't blame them, really. It is just not they're just not seeing the net negative. They're not seeing the wider ramifications of it, and it's coming from a lot of people who don't have that genuine interest in games in a lot of situations, and they don't really care if there's collateral damage to games in the long run. Some do, they just, but a lot of people don't care that are interested in it.
We have a super chat here. It's just kind of related.
Yeah,
it's about Dean now. He said, Jared Helder says, will Dean argue for Call of Duty being Game of the Year again? I think he's going to. Well, he's openly admitted he has not played very many games this year. He was so busy with events, and I think he became just a big Warzone guy. Really, he's played some other stuff. Like he played.
He's bummed out though that he hasn't had much time for other games. It's like one of the things we talk about, and we're like, we got to get more people in here helping us so he can play more games. But yeah, Call of Duty is just one of his, and Warzone is one of his. So he might talk about Warzone more than he'll talk about Vanguard.
I don't think he was all that high on like everybody else apparently on Vanguard this year, right? Mm-hmm. Still, was probably gonna be one of the super kids. But I'll tell you what. And I know we still have to actually talk about this. Call of Duty Vanguard will not be GamesBeat's Game of the Year. Let's do that right now.
Yeah. I don't think it's unethical to say that there's no chance in hell of that happens.
we will not allow it.
From Cranjus McBasketball. Gotta love it. With Halo Infinite seemingly doing very well despite what Reddit would have you believe, when do you think we'll see follow-up story content? This is a good question. Mike, have you finished? I know you've been playing Final Fantasy and your preview save got deleted, so you had to start it over.
Right,
have you finished Halo Infinite campaign?
No, because I was like right at the end, I think, and I didn't really mind. Like, I didn't rush because I was completely fine just playing it again, and I've been sort of playing it on my PC now, which has been fun. But no, I haven't beaten it yet. But I kind of heard what you said and other people. Like a lot of Halo games, it's never the most satisfying definitive ending ever, because of course there needs to be more Halo. And the question is, are we talking about a Halo Infinite 2 in another 5 years, or are we going to get like expansion content to Halo Infinite? Kind of like almost like what the Assassin's Creed games get, really.
Yeah.
And they this week they announced even more stuff coming to Valhalla, like another giant expansion and some crossover content. So they're still supporting that.
And I think this game could handle that, could handle something like that. And I think it's primed for it. I just don't. Yeah. I don't know if they're going to do it. Like, that's still like a big commitment. I think they probably will. I just don't. I'm not sure.
Well, the thing that, like, gosh, they were probably scribbling so hard just to get this finished, right? Where they even have time to really plan additional single player content. I mean,
there's a ton of stuff they cut, right? So that stuff will probably slowly trickle back into the game. Or they could do Super Mario Galaxy is a great example, right? Super Mario Galaxy had a ton of cut stuff, and they're like, okay, we'll release expansion for Super Mario Galaxy. Oh, actually, let's just make the Super Mario Galaxy 2. And like, somewhere along the path, like, Microsoft's going to be faced with a similar decision, and maybe there's reasons to make it expansion content for this game. Maybe there's reasons to make it feel like a full-on sequel, and I just don't know which path they're going to go down. And if they make it a full-on sequel, it'll take longer, I think. Right. But they did just trademark Halo the Endless. The Endless is involved in the storyline somehow with this game. It's not really touched on much beyond a few references. It feels like they're setting something up. To me, that's circumstantial evidence to suggest we'll probably get something relatively soon. We'll see, though.
Yep.
From Dangerman Leet. Oh boy, GSC having NFTs for 3 NPCs in Stalker 2. What the hell are they thinking? Fans were enjoying and many non-fans interested. Now it's killed a lot of hype. Well, they've since this question's come in, they have gone back on that, specifically because of what I think you're detailing there in the hype dying.
Damage has been undone by that? Do you think there still are people who are kind of like, it's just distasteful now?
What's the question? I'm sorry.
Like, so, they gone back on it. There's not going to be NFTs, so there are a lot of people who are upset. Do you think like the damage has been completely undone, or do you think there's still like a stain on Stalker 2 now because of this whole thing?
I think that for the most part the damage is undone. Gamers have both a really long memory and a short memory, and if the game comes out and gets good reviews, that'll matter way more at that point than at one point there were NFTs going to be in the game. Some people will still hold that against them, but I bet many of those people were never going to play Stalker 2 in the first place.
Sure.
From Winnie featuring Pandering for congratulations on his upcoming wedding. Congratulations, Winnie.
Well,
yeah.
Congrats.
Well,
our invite must have got lost in the
mail.
mail.
I know, weird. I mean, we would have congratulated you personally, but I see.
Yes, while drinking all your free booze.
Last year, I bought a PS3 to play old PS and PlayStation 2 games from the Sony store. If Sony is unlocking the ability to play old games on new architecture, what prevents them from letting me play the games I own, aside from their desire to sell it to me again? I mean, I think you asked an answer.
There it is. I mean, it would also like involve something of a tech investment or to figure that out. Maybe
sure,
not much of one, but why bother? You could just sell it again. People will probably pay for it.
Yeah, sell it again, or just like, sell it again and add it as part of a subscription service to make that subscription service look better. It's, it's business reasons. I mean, you got it, Winnie. Blackheart Vinyl, how good is that power on dock for Xbox? Is it performing well for them? I hope so, because I want to see more companies do this. I have not watched any of it so far. Mike, how about you?
Me neither yet. I maybe again have this week off, and I have
that's gonna be a holiday thing for me.
They might want to watch it. It's hard to tell. We've had a lot of these documentaries showing up recently, right? I mean, there was the Console Wars documentary. There was a Midway documentary recently.
Oh yeah,
and they're all on streaming services, so it's impossible to know how well they're doing. And they aren't the kind of things that season 2, right? So, and that's normally our barometer. Like we know Cowboy Bebop maybe didn't do that well because there's not going to be a season 2,
right?
So I don't know if they're doing well, but I hear good things and I am excited to watch it.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing where it's like, I mean, does it need to do well? At a certain point, it just feels like
sure. I mean, it's almost a commercial.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it seems like they do a good job of going into this stuff. I don't think. I don't view these things too much as documentaries, specifically because it's coming from the company itself. It's like that Michael Jordan documentary that was produced by Michael Jordan's company. That's not exactly journalism, which is what documentaries are supposed to be. So, but whatever. That doesn't mean these things can't exist. I'm not saying they are illegal or something. So
that ESPN documentary about Vince McMahon, produced by Vince McMahon, is going to be wild.
Yes, exactly. And it's I think it's a bad trend that's happening in documentaries right now. This sort of thing. But at the same time, as far as like one of these goes, it sounds like this Xbox documentary is pretty decent. So we'll see. It doesn't have Vince McMahon vibes, is what I'm saying. Delta Prime 84, we get charged $125 Australian for brand new PS5 games. That's about $90 to $100 depending on the exchange rate. How long do you think it will take until Sony relents and drops it back to 100 in Australian dollars?
Man, I tell you what, it's not too often when people start saying games are going to get cheaper now. If you're like the best you can hope for is that they stop increasing it so that inflation catches up. Right?
Yes.
Like,
there's just no chance. I mean, they break the seal. The seal's broken. The toothpaste is out of the tube. It doesn't go back in. They got away with it. If people are buying the games, they're just going to wait for people to get used to it. They're not going to drop it back down. It's just not going to happen. This is why they talk about inflation, and is inflation sort of this temporary thing. And when they say that, they don't like house prices are wild in Denver right now. They're not going to go back to what they were. It's just like you have to hope like you catch up in terms of how much money you make overall. It's going to be the same thing. They're not going to go back down.
Nope.
Delta Prime 84. Speaking of expensive games, I'm now an iRacing douchebag, so rip my wallet. Anyway, do you have any idea what the legality is of a developer like iRacing devs incorporating code from GitHub into their game? There are a bunch of apps, mostly on GitHub, that are used to improve iRacing. It would be nice if the iRacing devs just put that code from GitHub into the game, so I don't have to run it in separate apps. It depends on the licensing of each of those GitHub apps. So if they are open source, if you are using like the MIT license, if they're using the there's a bunch of different open source licensing, the sort of legal agreements. And in most situations, as long as you share how you use that code, you could use it free of charge. It's open source. Not everything on GitHub is open source though. So I don't know. Chances are a lot of it is, and it's just a lot of work, and that's why it's not getting put into the game. And they don't want to like break their game to try to get this stuff in there just for the 5% of people that are using the stuff that you're using. From Jedi Moss 4, sales figures from Japan have shown barely any PlayStation units are getting sold in recent weeks. I know this is mostly due to the ongoing chip shortage, but considering the almost non-existent stock being prioritized for PS5 in Japan, does Sony no longer view Japan as a market for their console?
I mean, they view it as a market. I mean, we are very far away from it being like a primary market.
I mean, what did they say?
Because that's where Sony's based. But yeah.
I mean, they said at the beginning of this generation, like, it was of the utmost importance. That's not true.
That was a lie. Yeah.
That has not been true for years. I feel like, I'm just going to Google real quick.
It wasn't true during the PlayStation 4 era.
Exactly,
like, what's the last big PlayStation game that came out from like a Japan state? It was like Gravity Rush 2. And I love that game. Didn't sell very well.
It's like, yes, in 2016, January 2016. Jeff Grubb of GamesBeat wrote, "Why Japan no longer matters to PlayStation as Sony heads west." When they moved,
everyone get mad at you.
Oh yeah, of course, yes, of course they did. Of course they did, and it was probably NeoGAF back then. I don't remember, maybe Reset era. But yeah, and it's like no, it happened way back then. You could see the writing on the wall, and when there was a power struggle, it wasn't between Japan and North America. It was between Europe and North America, and European leadership of PlayStation came out ahead. But it still is not a Japanese company, and since then it's only become less of a Japanese company on the PlayStation side of stuff. So yeah. Danger Man is back with what was the biggest the Game Awards reveal. Personally, it was probably Space Marine 2 because that just felt like it came out of nowhere.
That was actually like a legitimate surprise, so that was neat.
Disclaimer: I have not played the original yet. I never played the original yet either, and I heard some good things. Or people really like that Space Marine game.
I mean, so that one actually surprised me. Wonder Woman actually surprised me too, because we just straight up didn't know what Monolith was up to. Like a lot of the other stuff, Jeff, you like told me about, or you had known for a while, like Alan Wake and whatnot. So like Wonder Woman was definitely one of the bigger surprises for me, and also because like none of like my big darlings showed up, like anything from Nintendo or Final Fantasy or like what a Mega Man or something. So, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest reveal. I think I'm the happiest with that Star Wars Eclipse trailer, even though there was no gameplay. It just looked really cool, and I've watched it a bunch of times. I don't know if the game's going to be any good. I actually don't like anything from Quantic Dream ever, and I think David Cage is a hack. But I mean, to me, it's more like, oh, this is what a High Republic game could look like, and I'll be excited for whatever the next one is. That's kind of where I'm at, and that's where my excitement for that project is coming from. Danger Man is back to follow up on his NFT thing from earlier. He said the Stalker 2 thing got reversed. Do you think that's because either Valve or Microsoft gave them a call?
No, I don't think Valve or Microsoft had anything to do with it. I think it was just completely about backlash.
Yep. I mean,
people on social media.
Yeah, I bet if Microsoft or GSC has partnered with Microsoft for this game, if they called up Microsoft for advice, I bet Microsoft said you should probably just get rid of it. That seems to be Microsoft's position on NFTs overall. But yeah, Mike's right. It's about the backlash. Poppy Woppy. Poppy Woppy has ADHD and all the anxiety issues that are bundled with it. Playing horror games are too stressful for me, and I'm unable to play them. Right there with you. No matter how many times I try. Have either of you been assigned to review a game that you weren't comfortable playing or lacked the will to play all the way through?
It was pretty rough when I realized I was the only person who could review Resident Evil Village because I am a coward. I used to have bad anxiety and panic attacks, and I'm mostly good with that. That stuff's all under control now, so I can usually get through things. And Resident Evil Village was mostly fine. There's one section, people who play that game know it as, that was pretty intense, but I was still kind of just able to mostly have fun with being scared now. But there are, like, usually I will like pardon myself from having to play too many horror games or stuff like that. I generally don't really enjoy it. Even though I don't get like horrible anxiety or panic attacks anymore, it's still often freaks me out. Like the worst I ever had it was when I did the Resident Evil 7 demo at E3, and it was a course in VR. And the poor like PR people from like Capcom, they basically had to like act like mom to me to like tell me it was gonna be okay. It was rough.
Yeah, Sony did that with me with PSVR and the horror game, like the choose your own adventure horror game, and they had a VR version of it. They had me do that and took pictures of me freaking out. I'm definitely the same way, and a lot of it is I get very stressed out and I just can't enjoy that stuff. I'm like, it's really bad right now because of a lack of sleep from having kids, always being worried about the kids. So like I have like triple anxiety because I'm worried about myself, and then I'm worried about all the bad things that could happen to them, so that when I try to sit down to enjoy myself, I'm like a frayed end at that point. I have to play something that's kind of going to sort of rebuild me, then trying to like break me down. I right now I could not play a lot of horror games. Even though I've enjoyed Resident Evil games in the past, even Village was like a little bit too stressful for me. Although I want to get back to it, I was enjoying myself.
Right. I mean, I think it does speak to how good Resident Evil games actually have been lately that I still do kind of want to play those.
Yes,
they
I
have
agree.
been surprisingly fire as of late.
Yeah, they've been. I mean, I think they're really solid video games. 8, it's built like a really good video game.
Right. You know, I was making fun of you for thinking 8 was going to win Game of the Year, but like within the last like week or two, I've been seeing a lot more people talk about how much they like Resident Evil 8. So I think people have kind of been showing it more love lately, and I think it's deserved.
From Visualizer, do you think 343 will release more story and campaign content for Halo Infinite with smaller story DLCs or a full-on sequel? If they go the DLC route, when is the soonest you guys think we'll get more Halo single-player content? So we kind of touched on this a little bit. But
soon, man. It's hard to imagine before summer, and even that seems optimistic. But if that's the soonest. In the next year, I think we'll kind of have an answer to this question, but it could be as long as a year before we really know for sure. Epic Open World, do you think it is more developers, publishers decide when games leave Game Pass, or is it Microsoft? It's the deal that they make up front. Everyone fully understands when it's going to leave. It's like, that's not a surprise from either side. As I've gotten older, this is also from Epic Open World. As I've gotten older, I enjoy syrup on my pancakes and waffles less and less. I now like to spread a thin layer of Nutella on them instead. All right, I mean, I thought you were like, oh, my taste buds are maturing. I sort of just want something like a little bit more bland or something like that. You want, no, give me Nutella, straight up hazelnut chocolate. Am I eating breakfast still, or am I just eating dessert at 9:30 in the morning? Also, sausage or bacon. You're absolutely eating dessert, but that's breakfast at this point. I mean, it's the same thing. Bacon. I mean, sausage is nice too. I don't like links of breakfast sausage. If it's like one of those patties that get like the crusty parts, that's better. Or like sausage gravy, I like, but I don't like the links. I don't like chewing through that.
Me neither. It's not good. It feels like a dog treat almost. I like bacon better. Bacon's just always better. From Cole Knapp. When people play a remake or remaster, they often say, this is how I remember the game feeling or looking. What are people going to say in 15 years when 8th generation games, whatever that means, I don't know what he's talking about, are getting remakes and remasters?
It's going to be real interesting when that Last of Us remake, if that's real, that's going to be pretty interesting to see.
Yeah, you're right. I want to see what that is like. I mean, it's going to be even more of that because, you know, the valley is getting like smaller and smaller between like games for 10 years ago, right? So while they might be upgrading stuff and it does look significantly better, you're going to need more of a side-by-side to notice like how they're actually better. Or maybe stuff will start looking like that Matrix demo and it'll be obvious how they're better. I don't know.
Yeah.
Delta with another one. Sony is taking pre-orders for God of War and that Uncharted 4 collection on Steam. Also, Sackboy has been data mined. Care to let us know any other PlayStation ports that are close to announcement? I don't know. I mean, it sounds like they're going to get through those 3 and then something else after that. Sackboy makes a lot of sense, but that'll be pretty. It's a pretty quick turnaround. That's like the quickest turnaround yet for one of these games. Yeah,
but like also one, it's definitely a smaller game anyways. Yes. Why not get it on PC? It'll do well there.
Yeah, it'll do really well there, and I'll probably play it multiplayer with like my kids or something again. Turbo Sean, happy Friday, Mike. What's it magnetic to Minotti and Jeff?
Magic sand
and Jeff to magnets, Grubb. And for the love of God, Mike, don't eat that sand. I'm a little late to the party.
Good. Looks like cotton candy.
Oh my God, right? What, he thought it was edible because it's called magic sand, and he's like, obviously it's edible,
sand, and it looks like candy colored to me.
I guess I get it. It's just, it totally looks like a kid's toy to me.
I'll tell you what, it should definitely either have the word edible or non-edible on this packet somewhere.
I don't disagree with you, Mike, but just definitely don't eat it.
I won't. Don't worry.
I'm a little late to the party, but I also need some help here, guys. What is a pot friend? And does it have anything to do with Colorado Nights? Man, when did I make that reference?
I'm a good Catholic boy, so I don't know anything about that.
Also, Jeff, is Jeff Keighley your pot friend, or are you guys more bosom buddies? I'm more like Jeff Keighley's sworn enemy at this point. He's still mad at me, I think.
Is he? I thought he was over it. I thought he let you stream the thing.
I think Dean Takahashi smoothed things over for me, but him and Dean are still close. But I mean, I think
Jeff doesn't forget.
I think he's just doing a favor for his buddy Dean. Colorado Nights is what me and my wife used to call Friday night before we had kids. We would just get some edibles and hang out and have a night. And pot friend does not have anything to do with that. That is just a boy who is shaped like a pot in Elden Ring, and he showed up in one of the trailers at Summer Game Fest and became a fan favorite. And he's very good. I've always called him Pot Boy, but what's that?
He's friends with Jeff Keighley, unlike you.
Yes, he showed up on stage, unlike me. Very good point, Mike. Lausian, good morning, fellas. Hope you're having a good day and you have fun plans for the weekend. Mike, are you done with Endwalker's story, and are you planning on doing a review of it? He answered these questions earlier, but let's repeat it.
Yes, I finished the story. Of course, I always beat these games somehow in the middle of the night because I sense I'm close to the end, and the end is further away than I think, but I'm already committed. So I beat the story at like 5 a.m. or something one night. And yeah, I am going to review it. I'm taking next week off, so maybe I'll just do the review at some point next week anyway, so I really don't want to do it today because I am tired from getting my booster. And again, you can't buy the game right now anyway, so why am I going to rush to it? But I am going to write a review. It'll probably come out before the end of the year. And again, yeah, if you're in suspense, it's going to be a 5 out of 5. I absolutely
they asked that right here. And they said, how does it compare to the high of 5.3's story?
Yeah, gosh, I think the highs are so high. It's right there. Like the one weird, not weird thing, but one different thing compared to Shadowbringers in general, or say Heaven's Ward, is that those things are kind of nice and focused in a way that this isn't, just because this is like the end game, right? Of these things. This is like the tying up all the loose ends. It's a bit more traveling around the world. But because of that, just like with Endgame, you get some really hype, exciting, emotional moments. So I think it compares pretty favorably to 5.3, which I know is a high point for a lot of people because it was fantastic. I probably still like the end of just straight up vanilla Shadowbringers a little bit more than 5.3, which might make me an outlier. Jeff is probably acting like how I act when he talks about video cards.
I'm interested in what you are saying now. I need the Pardo, the Cinco Party snoozer. That's what I need right now.
But yes, expansion good.
From Beef Hammer, happy Friday, Jeff, outspoken NFT hater Grubb, and Mike, secret NFT collector Minotti. Wow,
it's out. My secret's out.
Next year looks like two consoles manufacturers will be switching philosophies, with Xbox moving forward to next-gen only games like Starfield and Redfall, while Sony has PS4 versions of all their major games. If the silicon shortage is expected to still continue and Xbox's current strategy has been seen huge player counts for Halo and Forza, why are they moving away from cross-gen? Thanks as always, because you can stream those games from the cloud.
Yeah, I guess that must be it.
Also, I think that by streaming those games from the cloud, one of the best ways to do that is to subscribe to Game Pass Ultimate, so it serves Microsoft's goals in the end as well. I think it's just they don't see much of a. I mean, I think some games will still be cross-gen, but those big ones you mentioned will be just next-gen only. Hang on, I got a kid yapping at me real quick.
Oh, very nice. I think I learned to play an Endwalker song in here. Let's see if I remember it. Nope. I got it now. Nope. Nope.
Good kid. All right.
Yeah, I get it.
From Screaming Madden, keep one forever, eat one once, and banish one. An edible take on buy one, rent one, banish one, with the theme being Christmas sweets. The choices are...
I don't have much of a sweet tooth. Let's see how this goes.
Gingerbread mint cookies, fruitcake, and Prizzles? Pizzles?
Oh, pizzelles! Oh my god! Pizzelles. You don't know what a pizzelle is?
Mike, I don't know what a pizzelle is. Oh, he's getting up. I don't know if he's getting up because he's angry or because he's going to get them.
It's the food of my people. Pizzelles are incredible.
It's the food of his people.
It's those flat, like, Italian cookies with the, like, designs on it that look like...
This isn't a cannoli. Well, I don't know what you're talking about.
No, it's better than cannoli. It absolutely is.
Oh, okay, all right.
Cannolis are too sweet, and they're too decadent. Pizzelles are so simple.
Can I just go to the store and try one, or do I have to order one from a bakery or something? Now, what's the best way to try one?
My mommy and grandma would make them for me, so I think.
All right, I'll get mommy Minotti when I'm over there next.
There's got to be Italian markets, right, somewhere there still.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, yes.
Get the anise. You can get anise, or you can get like vanilla. Usually, I like anise. Some people don't like.
Well, then Mike needs to answer this. Mike, keep one, eat one once, and banish one. Gingerbread mint cookies, fruitcake, and pizzelles.
Well, fruitcake is obviously gone. Like, fuck that. But man, I mean, I love gingerbread, especially Christmas. I'll say this: pizzelles, I almost consider an all year thing. I'll eat pizzelles whenever. Gingerbread cookies, I heavily associate with Christmas time. And I do like them a lot. I thought I was going to be all down on this because I am not. I can't believe you never even saw pizzelle. You lived in Ohio. How did you never come across?
I lived in Italian Village. Like Jesus Christ. And they like literally me and my now wife. Literally 5 feet from her front door. It was her apartment. the Italian Village Festival would happen, I would walk outside. It was right there. The big Italian the church was right there, the Catholic church right there. And I'd walk outside, and there would be cannolis everywhere. And I'm sure pizzelles were everywhere, and I just didn't even
they
notice
have like those
them.
doily designs on them.
Yes. They very much look like a grandma's doily sort of thing. Yes, totally.
Yeah, pizzelles are number one, then gingerbread, then way below that is fruitcake.
Another one for Screaming Madden. Is there a genre in games that you don't consider yourself an expert in, yet you like the genre enough that every year you feel obligated to check out one game from that genre? For me, it's fighting games. As well as I'll never be a pro Evo player. It's always fun to get some practice in mastering techniques and see how far I can get against online players.
Yeah, maybe grand strategy. Like, I'm never that good or that interested, but there's usually one game a year I kind of want to try out a little bit. Like, I'll play some Civilization, or I'll try Anno or something like that, right? I don't even know if Anno counts as ground strategy. I don't know. But something kind of like that. Usually I do. I like so many genres that there aren't that many that I consider kind of outside my purview. It's basically stuff like strategy or like sports. And so I just don't really bother playing them that much.
It's pretty much pretty similar for me. I don't know. I feel like I'm not an expert in many genres, and yet I still like dipping my toes into most of them. Fighting games is a good answer, though. From Gerbear. Happy Weekend Eve, guys. Why are people so eager to post unfunny guff about how Altered Beast is a bad game? I get the impression that some silly people believe that it's a beloved title from the 80s and 90s that is aged poorly, but that's nonsense. We got a Mega Drive back in 1993, and magazines like Mean Machine Sega were being nasty about Altered Beast even then. If your hot take is almost 30 years old, can it be called a hot take? I will say that this is a good point. Like, people were like, no one was saying Altered Beast was the best thing ever back then. It was just the game that came with the Genesis, and if you were a kid, you'd probably enjoy it. But no one was saying like this is gonna beat Mario or anything like that.
We literally were talking about this earlier. It's funny he brought up on his own. But yeah, I don't understand like why people are so hard on Altered Beast. Nobody is saying that it's Sonic the Hedgehog or Gunstar Heroes or Revenge of Shinobi. Like, we get it for what it is, a simple 2D platform. I mean, the point of that game was to show that the Genesis was good at like doing arcade ports, and that's why it was a packaging game, and that was the whole point of Genesis. And it does a fine job.
It succeeds at that.
It's fine.
Gerber has some more, but I'm gonna jump to this PS. Any update on Mike's threat to seduce Nick Turbo's mom and make the Beast with two hairy backs?
I'll tell you what, absolutely no update on that. There's zero update. There will never be an update.
All right, let's see here. From Jeremy G, FMK, except it's GamesBeat edition. Your options: marry/go on 10 dates with just to get a kiss, make a Discord mod over Nick Turbo, or buy an NFT of. This is going to be way too confusing, but basically, the waifus: Daisy, the Weapon, Crystal, Riku. Keep up the good work.
Okay. Yes, I like it. Okay, I'm going to just go top to bottom here.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and I'll let people know what the option is afterward. Okay.
I think Riku's actually top still. Riku just seems more fun. Well, Daisy seems kind of fun, but Daisy's also like a princess. She probably has responsibilities. Riku can go like party.
Riku's just gonna smoke pot all day and take care of you. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So Riku, Daisy. Weapon's okay. Weapons smile and nerves me. I don't know if those smiles.
Well, she seems very naive and too young. Like she's playing it very young.
Too childlike for me to think she's
childlike.
Sexy.
Yes,
like,
yes.
There's inherently something sexy about Cortana. Probably also that they basically make her naked. Sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't get any. Yeah, there's no sexy vibes with Weapon. I'll be honest. She's not a waifu. So now are you gonna make me pick Crystal, the freaking fox? Okay. Yeah, I'll pick Crystal, the fox lady. All right. She at least seems like an adult over.
So Mike says
Weapon.
number 1, Crystal the Fox.
No.
Number 3, right? Okay, number 3.
No. Yeah, Riku, okay. Daisy, Crystal, Weapon.
Yeah, the Weapon's at the bottom for me as well because way too childlike.
I don't like that. The way she smells, it's weird. I don't like it.
And then I don't have any affinity for Riku. I mean, I saw pictures of her and stuff, and I get it. But I'm gonna put Riku at number 3. That means I am going to go on 10 dates just to get a kiss from Crystal, and then I'm gonna marry Daisy, and that seems like the right answer to me.
Oh, she has awful dog breath.
I'm sure. Oh, gross. That's disgusting.
Isn't it? Well, hey, guess what?
You're right. Hey, you're not wrong.
What happens
but man,
when you sexualize animals, you weirdo.
Oh, God. That is a horrifying thought. All right, we got to keep this show moving. From Low Rule, Grubb, since you're a dad of younger kids, did they ever go through the Coco Melon phase? And how did you manage? My son is obsessed, and I'm trying not to go crazy. Also, do you plan on seeing Spider-Man No Way Home? Saw it last night, and it was incredible. I want to see it as soon as I possibly can. I have no idea when I'm going to be able to make that happen. Yeah, they go through Coco Melon phases, Blippi, all the YouTube stuff, and when it gets out of hand, basically I instill a no more YouTube rule, and they're not allowed to watch stuff on YouTube. And what we do is I just basically uninstall it from the stuff they watch stuff on. And the good thing is those Amazon tablets, you could set them up in kids mode, and I get the Amazon Kids Prime thing, and they can access a bunch of free content on there. And it's usually just like they play a lot of games, but then if they watch like video stuff, it's usually high quality cartoons, like the Give a Mouse a Cookie. Yeah, Bluey. Yeah, it's stuff like that.
All of the parents I know can't get enough of Bluey. They all seem to like Bluey much more than their kids.
Yes, exactly. Like Emmy Award-winning kids shows, they really did just die. Let's see if it's I'm gonna give it a second. Let's see if it comes back. All right. Well, okay. And then it like resets so hard that the drop frames counter went back to 0. Like, oh no, we've been
straight
fine.
Up live again. I think
we are straight up live again. It's working perfectly now.
All right. Okay then. Yeah. Just
that's how it goes. I that seemed like a YouTube issue and not a me issue. I bet
Weapon did that for us, calling her a serial killer child.
Yes, a serial killer child with a creepy smile. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's see here. That'll my full answer to that, if you missed it, will be in the recorded version. I'm not going to repeat myself. From Waffle Sama, which will release first, Pragmata or the Chrono Cross remaster? I mean, probably the Chrono Cross remaster, I think.
Which was Pragmata? Why can't I remember that?
That's the one with the girl in the cage on the moon, and everyone thinks it looks like a Kojima game, but it's from Capcom, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's only one of those that I care about.
Yeah, right. But we have no idea what Pragmata even is, right? So I think they announced they delayed it again.
Maybe it's a Stranding game.
It's probably a Strand game. You're probably right.
It's not I mean,
you're onto something there. Pragmata is an all-new action-adventure title that depicts a near-future dystopian world on the moon through a deeply profound story and setting.
Endwalker.
Yeah, there you go. Oh boy. Yeah, I think Chrono Cross Remaster is going to come out first, and I think Pragmata has a chance of never coming out.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I'm into playing Chrono Cross. Let me see what that shit is about now, man.
I'm like almost right there with you. I remember like watching my friend play it at his house and like kind of wanting to play it then. I'm like, yeah, now's the time. Let's do this.
Yeah. Like I played it back when it came out, and I wasn't even good enough at JRPGs. Like I only started playing it then because I literally couldn't beat a boss at some point. I remember it was like a giant parrot. So if anybody remembers Chrono Cross, that's where young Mikey gave up. So yeah, I could do it. I've been to it.
All right, Nick Turbo, what are your guys' stance on kids playing M-rated games? Doesn't bother me. I know it's going to bother them, so I just don't let them. If they were to watch a spine get ripped out in Mortal Kombat 11, they would be very upset. They would cry. So I'm protecting them basically at that point.
Yeah, it's hard for me because back like M-rated games when I was young were so. It was so much more innocent back then. Like even me, as squeamish as I am, and like I don't like horror, I was never bothered by anything in a 16-bit video game.
Right. There was just nothing ever upsetting really in any of those games.
And my mom, who's like, just a typical mom, so like she was like a cool mom who would like, let me watch South Park or something. Like she would. I remember one time we bought Mortal Kombat 3 on the Genesis, and the cashier at Best Buy was like, because she was just like with me and my young brother, was like, is this for these kids? She just lies like, no, it's for my son in college. Like not even skipping a beat. And that's not usually how my mom operates. Like, even she knew like this stuff does not bother them. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Who cares? Again, if it was these days, like, yeah, I probably would think, not because, mostly just because it would scare them, like letting my kid play Resident Evil Village or something. Right.
Yeah. And that's kind of like, I try to work backward from like seeing how my kids react to stuff instead of, working backward from what the news tells me, which is very much what that was like the beginning of like maybe my mom listening to the media a little too much, and working backward from like, oh, you should be freaking out about this. Here's a moral panic for you to moral panic about. And my mom going, okay, and being like, yeah, Mortal Kombat, you can't have that for, well, I don't have any good reasons, but you just can't because I heard you're not supposed to. And it's like, okay. I mean, I kind of get it. I do see everyone freaking out. And then when I finally played it, I'm like, this is not affecting me at all. This is just fun, if anything.
Well, like I said, I played all that shit, and look at me, like, God,
I'm the future Supreme Court justice here
in the world.
From Louis Patelli, happy holiday, fellas. I hope Santa hooks you guys up with everything that you want this year. So say you each had one wish bestowed upon you by the great holiday genie to change one thing about games or the gaming industry. What would each of you wish for?
I would wish for better pixel remasters for those first 6 Final Fantasy games. I immediately came up with that. I was even watching. It seems fine for Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3, but I don't think it's acceptable for 4, 5, and 6. They're not even adding the content from like the Game Boy Advance versions. The fact that I think for all three of those, I mean, for all three of Final Fantasy 4, 5, and 6, I think there are still better definitive versions of those games. For 4, I think you'd be better off playing the PSP version or even the 3DS version. And then for 5 and 6, I think I'd rather just play the Game Boy Advance version still. So yeah, that would be the big thing I would change, especially from this last year. Aside from like people not getting abused and hurt anymore.
Right, yes, the obvious stuff, yeah. Along those same lines, I would probably wish that that the publishers would see more money, would be able to make more money for making stuff that's like not like the biggest games in the world. Like for Nintendo to want to make like 1080 again and Wave Race and Excite Bike again, and Excite Bots or something like that. I would like for that kind of stuff to come back.
Everybody needs an EA Originals equivalent, or they can kind of make it smaller.
Exactly, like EA Big should come back, which could be getting NBA Street and stuff. Exactly, that's everyone should have that stuff. Another one from Louis Patelli. With 2022 damn near upon us, let's look into the future. Imagine we are having this conversation in December of 2022. What will we be talking about as the biggest gaming story of the year? Good question. But I
mean, you never know. I mean, who would have thought that 2021's biggest gaming story would have been Activision Blizzard's the whole thing, right? Like that's easily the biggest gaming story.
NFTs and stuff, right? Like, that's the thing about gaming is you never know where the next big thing's coming from. That's why it's such a hard thing to cover. Oh my god, the kid just put the turkey hat on. It's so hard to like really figure out where, like, that's why investing in it is so difficult, because no one really knows what's going to be big next. But I would imagine,
the biggest. Sorry, Jeff, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I imagine we're probably going to look back and be talking about a handful of very big games. Maybe we'll be talking about like, oh, they finally announced GTA 6 or something like that. But we'll probably, if like Star Wars if Legend of Zelda just came out, we'll be talking about that. And if not that, probably Starfield. Starfield's probably going to deliver on a lot of the big promises there.
We'll see. Part of me feels like the biggest story of the year will never be about an actual video game.
You're right. You're probably right.
We'll see.
From Nintendo Bro. Jeff, what do I need to do to convince my wife I actually do need a subscription to Giant Bomb Premium, or should I just do it and ask for forgiveness later? I mean, you heard the man. He's not wrong. I mean, if here's what you do. While you're performing the service, you get your phone out and you have it ready to go, and you just hit the button right then, and then you show her the timestamp of when it went through and be like, listen, it just went through when it was in my pocket while I was honey, and she'll be like, she won't say, she'll just walk away and you'll be fine. So I think this is a foolproof plan. You're good to go.
I got my little bunny boy set up in a way that looked like he was looking at me and judging me.
Well,
get back in your spot.
Thank you, Puritan bunny boy. Okay. Yeah, just do it and ask for forgiveness. You'll be fine. It's on sale right now. johnbomb.com/premium. /upgrade, sorry. Sosuke, Jeff, I'm gonna make another bet. There was a problem. Use cut instead of copy. What the hell? Shut the hell up. From Sosuke, Jeff, I'm gonna make another bet that Persona 5 Royal gets ported to Xbox by the end of next year. Or will it be eating the deodorant again? Yeah, you're probably gonna have to eat deodorant. Mike, do you have any faith that Persona will ever show up, like a real Persona game will show up on Xbox?
Man, Xbox is hard. I'll tell you what. Let's see them get the Switch first. That's right. How I got it. And if they do, it'll be a big Game Pass thing for sure. Yes. Absolutely. And Sega's worked with that before, so I could see it happening. But whatever the stumbling block is, that's like getting it onto Switch. I feel like it's, for whatever reason, even harder to get it on Xbox.
All right, I got the last two here finally. Keyword. Oh shit, boys. Tom Clancy has blessed us from beyond the grave. Some Splinter Cell questions today. I personally played all the Splinter Cell games on Xbox, but I was curious what you guys played them on. Did you use exclusive water kill on the PlayStation 2 version of Pandora Tomorrow, or GBA connectivity on GameCube?
Man, I tell you what, in my mind, I associate those games so much with Xbox. I kind of forgot there were GameCube and PlayStation 2 versions even.
I did play at least one of them on GameCube, but all the rest I played on Xbox.
Yeah, so I guess that answers that one.
Yeah. Spies versus Mercs needs to come back in its symbol Pandora tomorrow and Chaos Theory form. Do you guys think it's possible for it to come back with the rise of asymmetrical multiplayer games like Dead by Daylight being so popular? I mean, I think this is one of the key reasons to bring this back, and you make it free to play just like Halo's multiplayer, and you release it at the same time, but you definitely treat them as like sort of two separate products. And I mean, to me, that's the sort of thing that slowly grows into like one of the secret biggest multiplayer games over a couple of years. What do you think?
Yeah, I certainly hope so. I mean, I don't see why you would do this without trying to at least bring that back, even if it is just like a smaller scale, like what it was, just to like, I mean, sweeten the deal a bit.
And that asymmetry is going to like work super well because you could pay money to unlock character skins. Like you can like the spy characters. You could probably make some deals to get some other famous spy characters in there. Konami probably wouldn't play ball, but there's like other like sort of like you could probably get like Agent 47 in there and stuff.
You can throw in people from Watch Dogs and from all the other.
I mean, exactly. They'll definitely do that for sure. But like, you could probably like bring in like movie characters and stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, not like Tom Cruise's character. Yeah, John Wick. Exactly. Yeah. And that seems like primed to work really well. So yeah. All right. Final question here. Actually, hang on. This is the last one from Keywork. Do you guys remember the Frag Dolls was an early esports group that worked for Ubisoft to promote tournament and play and such? I was matched made with them a lot in my Chaos Theory days. Just a weird memory I thought I would share.
Weren't the Frag Dolls that first at least one of those PAX East that we met each other at, right? I thought
they definitely were. Yeah, like 10 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, the Frag Dolls, man.
I feel like a lot of times though, when you would get matched up against them, it was probably just someone who's like in the community using the Frag Dolls like tag or something like that.
Sure.
But I guess maybe I could be wrong. All right, final actual real last question here from the community. Sony and Nintendo has essentially done nothing at the Game Awards, and Microsoft basically had Hellblade 2 and Game Pass without much else. Are the Game Awards not as important to game companies as we think they are? What do you think happened there, Mike?
I did think it was a little weird, especially Nintendo not showing up with something, even if just for like the sake of that relationship, maybe. But I think things maybe just didn't time out well this time, and maybe it's looking worse than it really is. I mean, there were still
that's my opinion.
Yeah, I think it just wasn't great timing for any of those three people to have something they wanted to show.
If you look at like where they're at in the generation and the games they've already announced, they're just not in a great position to come with like a ton of new big stuff like that right now. And if they do have that stuff, they're probably saving it for their E3 or E3 equivalent shows for PlayStation.
Yeah, I think that's right.
All right, Mike. I want to talk about the Game of the Year results, and we'll go over that stuff quickly because from our first round of voting. But are there any more super chats first?
We did actually get a few, so let's go through these first. Silver Siwa says, Kojima Xbox game? Anything new?
Yeah, it's still going forward. I've checked on this recently. It seems like the kind of thing that's going to get wrapped up in the new year. It's starting to be like kind of the time of year where things are winding down. But all signs point to that continue to go forward, and they'll have something solid signed and ready to go here pretty soon. When we hear about it after that, I have no idea. It's probably going to take some time for them to like put together an announcement. That would probably be E3 sometime. Hang on, I gotta yell at a kid. They're trying to start the treadmill. Hey,
nice.
Stop that.
Let's see if I can figure this song out again.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I need to be playing an octave higher. There it is. That's what, if anyone plays on Walker, that's what plays when you log in, right? Tales of loss and fire and face. Oh,
okay, I'm back.
All right, we didn't need you, but you're welcome to glob on here.
Any other super chats?
Yes, T Beaks 15 says, really wish I could hang out more in this chat, but unfortunately I can't watch your shows live due to my schedule. Been watching for about a year, and I really appreciate all the content you put out. Hey, we really appreciate you leaving this note here. It's nice always hearing from people who aren't part of the regular crew, as it were, but it's good to know.
Yeah, we really appreciate that. There.
Yep. Victor Marina says, will the Kojima Xbox game use the cloud to leak my IP address and tell me where I'm playing the game?
Basically, yes. I mean, it's everything I expect from that game. Absolutely.
Lucas Alkindo says, Phil Spencer has talked about Shadowrun in recent appearances. Is there any hope? it would be nice to see In Exile work on something like that.
Yeah, Shadowrun, I think, is one of those games those code names that's in the works. I think they're trying to make it happen. So yes.
And then Jared Holder says, I bought FIFA 22 on Switch. Am I a bad person? I'll say yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Just on a LARP.
Yeah, we just based on that, we're extrapolating, but basically, yeah, we're pretty sure you're a bad person.
Seem to think, it seems like you think you're a bad person.
Guilty
and you're
conscience.
asking for a validation. So hey.
We're losing frames again. Everybody,
we are losing frames.
All right, let me see here.
What are the kids doing? What are they starting now?
They're not doing anything. You know,
you connect the treadmill to the Netflix.
Yeah, they plugged it into the network and it's taking up all the frames. I turned up the TV. Let's see if that helps. I feel like it's probably not going to make a difference though. Wow, that's, you know what? Just do that and like do dial-up tones, Mike, with your flute and see if you can get us connected that way.
Dial-up tones, man, no one wants that. Oh, it's so good. The music.
All right,
we're only 2 days away. We're 2 days away from the 20th anniversary of Fellowship of the Ring. Oh, I blew it too. I'm disappointed.
Yeah, you really messed up there. Really well.
I think so. It has improved. I think so too.
Okay. All right. I think we're good now. We're good enough.
Good enough to finish this thing.
Yeah, we're good enough to finish this show. Okay. We still had other super chats, right?
No, that was the last super chat. We were yelling at Jared Holder for being a bad person.
Oh yes,
for buying FIFA 22. I'm not actually sure how that makes him a bad person, but I believe it.
Well, we could just tell. We could just tell.
Yeah, we could just tell these things.
Okay, so last week I asked people to go to go to GamesBeat Decides Game of the Year Round 1 Part 1. There's a form here that you could fill out where I put the first half of our bracket, and I think it's bit.ly/GBDGOTY. So GamesBeat Decides Game of the Year, GBDGOTY. And if you go there, you could have voted, but I think I'm going to shut this down for this first part. And I have the responses here with 89 votes. I'm going to go through them here pretty quickly through the first.
I didn't vote.
And it's your fault why any of your favorite games lost. Like, for example, Metroid Dread versus Cruisin' Blast, Mike. Metroid Dread won with Metroid Dread won with 82.6% of the vote.
You scared me there. It's like, okay, I know it's a joke. I know we're all memeing here, but come on, okay.
And I framed this as all of these as which game is best is how we're voting. So Metroid Dread won there with 82.6% of the vote. Between Lost Judgment and Wildermyth, Lost Judgment 77.6% of the vote. Resident Evil Village versus Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker. This one ended up being a lot closer after I threatened you and said this is going to be your fault if it loses. Resident Evil Village still came out on top with 54.3% of the vote, one of the closer ones for all of these.
I should have voted on that one. Yeah. Well, it's just some people can't even play Final Fantasy XIV right now because it's just too successful. So,
oh my God, there's a very close one up here, and that's almost I think one more vote comes in, it could flip it the other way. So if someone wants to try to change it, I'll refresh it when I get there. You have like 30 seconds.
I need this link.
Hang on, let me see. I'll put it in the chat right now. You need to hurry.
Actually, it's in the YouTube description. I got this. I got this. I'm voting right now.
Okay, so yeah, you need to hurry up, get there because I'm about to get to it.
I'm hurrying.
All right, so where are we at? Hitman 3 versus Mario Party Superstars. Hitman 3 won with 77.5% of the vote. This next one that just didn't stand a chance. It just came out and was going against one of the most popular games of the year so far. Halo Infinite versus Icarus. Halo Infinite won with 98.9% of the vote. And Icarus just didn't stand any chance at all. Icarus, I bet, going to be one of the more popular games next year. That game seems like it's picking up a lot of steam. All right, I'm gonna talk slowly. I'm gonna refresh. It doesn't look like it's gonna be enough though. Okay. Inscription versus Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart.
Oh my god.
With 91 responses. 91 responses. If anyone else wants to vote, this is the last chance to move it to 92. With 91 responses, Inscription won with 50.5% of the vote, beating Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. That was a tough Inscription's like an indie darling, and Ratchet and Clank is sort of maligned by our disgusting audience, Mike. I blame them.
Yes, and this isn't another invitation for you all to tell us the same 5 reasons you don't like it again.
Yeah, please. Actually, stuff it this time. We're wounded by this one.
You know, Inscription's on.
Oh my god, it's like it's losing ground now. Someone came in and voted for Inscription. All right,
this community.
Yeah, they know what they're doing.
Give me my Inscription code.
Get you an Inscription code? Didn't I get you one? Okay, I'll get you one.
Maybe you did. I forgot. I'll take a look.
It Takes Two versus Chicory, A Colorful Tale. It Takes Two won with 77.8% of the vote. And then finally, the last of our first 8 matchups, Death's Door beat Valheim with 78.7% of the vote. So yeah, there we go.
All right. Let's get us that link for the next round. Well, I'll vote again. And
yes, I'll get this set up. I will put the link in there in the description. I will put it in the Discord. This is where you can find it like where you find our shows. I'm not going to put it on Twitter or anything because I don't want to like invite the mass audience in there. This is for people that listen to these shows. Yeah, there's a ton of people still voting. I'm those are the final things right now. You know, in fact, I should just shut this off so it doesn't get flipped over anymore. Settings. Questions.
How do we want to do some of the giveaways we're talking about for the holidays? We want to open that up to just the people in our podcast producers channel on Discord. How many people you want?
No, I don't want to make it a thing where you have to pay because I feel like there might be tax liabilities with that or something like that.
Oh well, okay, sure. That sounds scary.
Yes, it sounds scary. Exactly. I don't want to like welcome any more of that than I already am. So yeah, we'll just make it like, you know, anyone can enter, and I don't know. We'll figure something out, Mike. It's late in this episode, so
you seem tired.
Yeah, I'm ready to wrap this up. Mike, you been playing anything?
Just Ed Walker. I've been playing a couple of Nintendo things to talk about on that show. But yeah, I beat Ed Walker. It was incredible. It was super emotional, super good. The soundtrack is just insane. It's. I hope we don't forget when it's time to talk about. I don't know why I'm still like care about the Game Awards when I'm thinking about the next year's Game Awards, but this still better get nominated for best soundtrack at that point. But yeah, it's fantastic, and I'm still going to be playing it every day. There's a ton to do still. Leveling up the new jobs, leveling up my old jobs to max level, doing the extreme trials, doing the dungeons to get better gear, leveling up my crafting, and then all the old stuff I was doing anyways I haven't caught up on, like the Manivore quests. Just going to keep playing this game every day for the very long foreseeable future.
I mean, I'm looking forward to updates about it. I can tell you really like this game, so I'm glad that this is living up to your.
Could you? Well, keep it away.
Yeah, I'm happy that it's living up to your expectations at least. Like you don't seem to have any reservations about enjoying this. It's like they delivered on all the high hopes that this community seems to have. So that's awesome.
No, there's been absolutely nothing wrong with it.
Where did she find a Netflix disc for Wii? Where are these kids? How are these kids getting to this stuff?
That's incredible.
It's more incredible than anything else. It's a little scary, I guess. I've been playing Analog Pocket, which I talked about more on Nintendogs. Go check it out there if you're interested. I also did a video review that covers like all of the in and outs of the system and really how I feel about it. And there's a review up on the website.
Sifu, you have a Sifu preview up.
Yes, I played Sifu. I really like the way that game feels and plays, and it really comes down to just an excellent combat system, and this is from the Absolver developers. From Slowclap is the name of the developer. Absolver felt good too, but it turned that was like more PvP. Like that was a lot of like going online and facing against all other people in this sort of 3-dimensional third-person world that felt like it maybe should be single player. This is very much just a single player kung fu action game. And thank you. Yeah, I appreciate. Thank you for bringing this to me. It's working for me because that combat feels so explosive. You press the punch button and the character's fist just flies out so fast and just so rapidly, and yet you feel that you're still in control. It's not like some cinematic thing that's happening where it's like, oh yeah, we'll handle it from here. You still feel like you're in full control of the combo system and stuff like that. So that game's out in February. It's now one of my most anticipated games the first couple of months. I cannot wait to get my hands on the whole thing. I just played the first level, and I played it through like 2.5 times now, and I've really enjoyed it. So
yeah, I'm really excited for it. Jeff, I know it was just the Netflix for Wii disc, but still seeing the kids play with it scares me immensely. I don't know why.
No, I know. If it was anything else, like, I mean, this thing, there's got to be hundreds out there. This can't be worth anything. So, but I agree. Just having them handle discs at all.
Well, now they're learning that's a plaything. That's a toy.
I mean, it's too late. It's too late.
Oh no!
They found all my criminal burned Wii games a long time ago, and
nice.
Yeah, and they destroyed all of those. So it's too late.
Well, Nintendo would be happy about that.
Yeah, honestly, they were probably sitting here by Reggie. Now that I'm thinking about it,
your kids were sitting. What does that mean?
I don't know. Let's wrap this show up before I say anything else embarrassing. All right, thanks everybody for watching. Mike, you have anything else you want to touch on? Should we get out of here?
No, let's get out of here.
All right, I'm gonna hit this button and then. All right, wait, no, it's this one. There we go. Okay, Mike, where can people find you on the internet?
Find me on Twitter at Tokoto, TOLKOTO. Check out the 90s Disney podcast at 90sdisney.com, and me and Jeff will be back on Tuesday with Last of the Nintendogs.
This show's going to be happening.
About waifus and husbandos on the tongue.
That's right. Yes. Great. Yeah. If you needed a reason ever to tune in, it's waifu and husbando week on Nintendogs. GamesBeat Decides is going to be taking place close to holidays the next few weeks. We'll have something up no matter what.
Figure it out.
Tune in. We'll figure it out. But yeah, we'll be back. So thanks for listening, everybody. We'll catch you next time.
Bye.